Here's what we've got. We've got high-flying thrills,
daring escapes,
big hits,
and explosive action.
Yep, sounds like we're ready.
Are you ready for some football?
Win this trophy and you've won it all. The Dallas Cowboys did just that last Sunday in Super Bowl 30, and they are the new champions of professional football. Hey, it's sunny and warm here in Hawaii, and Michael Irvin is here for the Pro Bowl. The game where the guys who are voted the best in the NFL, like Jerry Rice, of course, come to strut their stuff at the end of the season. The wind chill factor today is about 85 degrees. Brett Favre loves Green Bay in January, but the blue waters of the Pacific look to be clear sailing for Captain Comeback. And surf's up, dude. Junior Seau is celebrating another season of radical wipeouts. Ain't no ocean deep enough to keep Motown's Barry Sanders away from these islands in another Pro Bowl. The best players in the AFC line up against the NFC's best in the 26th annual AFC-NFC Pro Bowl game.
Finale on ABC. Now only the best get to play on this show. The AFC and NFC go toe-to-toe. So get ready. I mean, get ready. Are you ready for some football? Yeah. Superstar party. We got Frank and Al and Dan. We're gonna get it kick-started. Lynn and the crew. Pro Bowl's coming on, that's right.
Here we are, Frank. The beach at Waikiki on a beautiful sun-splashed day here in Honolulu. Temperature about 80 degrees, a slight trade wind is blowing. Aloha Stadium, a sold-out crowd today, as it is annually for the AFC-NFC Pro Bowl game. The NFL's finest getting together one more time for the official final game of the 1995 NFL season. Hello again, everyone. Frank Gifford, Al Michaels, and Dan Dierdorf. We're happy to be back with the Pro Bowl, and of course we do have some of the game's greatest. They've been playing all week. They're about to get serious. We'll get serious in a moment, but first of all, we would like to congratulate a member of our team elected to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Dan, we are proud.
Well, thank you very much, guys. You know what I think of the two of you, and there is no higher honor that one can achieve in this game, and I'm assuming a position alongside some of the greats that have ever played, and no one could be more thrilled than me.
We can't wait for Canton, Ohio, your hometown, this summer. Tears streaming down your face. We can bet on it.
You're right. I have no chance of holding it together, so I'm not even going to pretend that I'm going to.
Okay, we'll get to the game, Al. Kind of a changing of the guard a little bit here in the AFC-NFC Pro Bowl.
Well, Frank, it always is in this game. You get to see a lot of the old guard, and we will today as we take a look at people like Steve Young, the 49er quarterback, and Emmitt Smith is here, and Barry Sanders. But in terms of the new guard, a new NFC starter at quarterback this year, Brett Favre had a fabulous year, 38 touchdown passes, the NFL's most valuable player. And on the AFC side, we'll see Jeff Blake starting at quarterback from the Cincinnati Bengals, and we'll also see a lot of Curtis Martin, the rookie running back from the New England Patriots. And Dan, one way you get to the Hall of Fame is by playing in a number of Pro Bowls, and you played in 6 of these. What do you remember most about the games?
Well, it's such an honor to be chosen, Al, and that certainly sinks in on all these players. But then as the week goes along, the reality of playing the game comes along, and the guys are a little bit reluctant. And they don't want to hurt anybody, and they're thinking, well, maybe I won't play all that hard. And that lasts right up until the first play of the game, when the guy across the ball from you hits you right in the head with his forearm. And then all your competitive instincts takes over, and what we end up with is a regular football game. And I think that's what we'll see here this afternoon, albeit a very star-studded regular football game.
Weather is perfect. The stadium filled to capacity. It's the 17th year in a row the game has been played here. It found a permanent home in Honolulu following the 1979 season, and it's something the folks on the island of Oahu look forward to every year. with a lot of anticipation. And it's appropriate that a guy who played at the University of Hawaii, Jason Elam of the Denver Broncos, the AFC kicker, will kick off, and that's Brian Mitchell of the Washington Redskins, who's back to receive. The opening kickoff as we're underway in the Pro Bowl. At the 15-yard line, Mitchell up past the 30 to the 32-yard line. Brian Cox of the Miami Dolphins makes the tackle. And let's take a look right now at the starters for the blue-clad National Football Conference All-Stars. Brett Favre, the fabulous season. His 38 touchdown passes have only been exceeded in the history of the NFL in one year by Dan Marino, who twice was in the 40s. Jerry Rice and Herman Moore, the starting wideouts. Mark Chmura of Green Bay is the tight end, and Smith and Sanders start as the running backs. Brown, Newton, Glover, McDaniel, and a Rolfe up front. Brown and Glover, 2 Lions. And on first down, Favre under pressure throws, and it's caught up at the 30-yard line by Barry Sanders. That's a loss of a couple. It'll be second down and 12. Junior Seau making the tackle. Let's take a look right now at the AFC defense. You have to play a 4-3 in this game. Bruce Smith, Chester McLaughlin, Dan Saliamua, and Neil Smith, 2 Chiefs on the front four. Pop, Seau, and Lloyd. Pop, the ex-Packer, now with Buffalo. Carter, McDaniel, Carnell Lake, and Steve Atwater. And for Lake, he was voted in as a safety, despite the fact most of you know Carnell was asked to replace Rod Woodson at corner for the Steelers this year and did a magnificent job there. Craig Hayward is in the game at fullback. Favre looks right, then comes to his left, and simply throws it away. It will be third down. It will take a little while for these guys to get into sync.
We'll touch on the offense. Al, you mentioned they had to play a basic 4-3 defense, and on offense you can come with 3 wide receivers, and you must keep 2 on either side, and one must be the tight end. You can flex the tight end, and you could go with 1 running back and 3 wides. It's not peculiar. They put these rules in, quite frankly, because they're only together 4 or 5 days of practice, maybe 1 or 2 days serious, Dan, but it is a little difficult, so they make the game very simple.
Third down and 12, and Ricky Waters, formerly with the 49ers, now with the Eagles, is in the backfield. He goes out in the pattern as Favre throws, and the catch is made by Jerry Rice, but short of the first down. He is pushed out of bounds after a gain of close to 10. And it will be fourth down and a couple for the NFC. The NFC team is coached by the Green Bay staff because the Packers went to the NFC Championship game and lost there, so the losers in the Conference Championship game provide the coaching staffs.
A good look at the strong arm of Brett Favre, and boy, has he developed over the past couple of years. Still 26 years old. Great future ahead of this young quarterback.
And not only does he play the game so effectively, guys, it's the excitement level that he brings to any football game that he participates in. The guy makes you watch a game on the edge of your seat.
Jeff Beagles of the Cardinals sends one inside the 10. It's a perfect kick as Glenn Milburn makes the catch. He was on the stripe, and the AFC will start at its own 10-yard line after a 49-yard boot by the Pro Bowl punter.
It was perfect. Could not be better.
AFC takes over now for the first time offensively. Dan Marino was actually voted the starting quarterback, but he was banged up at the end of the year, so he'll miss the game, and thus Jeff Blake, second in the balloting of the Cincinnati Bengals, is the QB, and his teammate Pickens, along with the Raiders' Brown, are the wideouts. Coach is the tight end, and Marshall Faulk and Chris Warren are the running backs, at least at the beginning of the game. They begin with Warren in the backfield, and Warren on a draw breaks a would-be tackle at the 5 and gets only back to the 7-yard line. Eric Swan couldn't bring him down, and then he was finally corralled up at the 7-yard line. As we take a look now at the offensive line for the AFC, the team that is coached by the Indianapolis coaching staff. You've got the 2 Dolphins, Webb and Sims on the left side, Dawson of the Steelers, Wisniewski of the Raiders, and Bruce Armstrong of New England. He normally wears 78, but Bruce Smith has been in the league longer, his teammate for the AFC, so Smith gets 78, Armstrong gets 79. Blake throwing out of the end zone with a great arm, and it's incomplete. The good coverage there on Carl Pickens provided by Aeneas Williams of the Cardinals. Third down.
You see that pair hook up so many times for Cincinnati, being covered by one of the best in the business.
Aeneas Williams, one of the many free agents who will be in demand this year. He came into today with 6 interceptions for the season.
Aeneas was sitting all over that stop and go. He was having none of that. Pickens made it look like he was going to stop and break his pattern off to the inside. Aeneas Williams all over.
3rd down and 13 now. As Blake guns one over the middle. Great catch! What a catch by Yancey Thigpen inside the 30, the 20, and the Steelers scores on a 93-yard pass play.
Blake hit him right in stride.
Well, if you've not seen Jeff Blake play and just heard about him, a perfect illustration there of his arm.
But was that
Guns one over the middle.
Was that not just a one-handed stab by Thigpen?
Hanksman, I think, for the interception or a bump or something. He was totally out of it.
What a nice job of controlling the football. This one is going to come right at you from out of perfect pass protection to begin with by the offensive line. But look at that, a one-handed catch by Thigpen. Hanks was actually hung up on his left arm. He gets the right hand out there and not only runs away from everybody, but makes the highlight reel for our past Pro Bowls. That's as good as it gets.
Well, on a cold, wintry day, if you're back where much of the nation is cold, these are the kind of individual plays you're going to get out of the Pro Bowl. Absolutely sensational.
Jason Elam for the point after to make it 7-0 after the longest play from scrimmage in the history of the AFC-NFC Pro Bowl. The longest touchdown reception had been a 64-yarder. This one good from 93, 2.5 minutes into the game.
In the middle of my workday, I don't do power lunches. I do power lifts. And when you work out this hard, you better use a deodorant that works hard too. That's why I use Speed Stick. It gives me 110% protection that lasts all day. And fortunately, all night. Because while I may not have time for lunches, I always manage to find some time for dinner.
Speed Stick, like you, it never quits. And try new Speed Stick Clear for clear protection that never quits.
5 minutes.
Introducing the new full-time four-wheel drive Lexus LX 450. It's everything a Lexus is, and everything a Lexus isn't.
Announcing a powerful breakthrough of incredible proportions. Incredibly small proportions. New Actron, a powerful pain reliever with ketoprofen. Finally available without a prescription. Actron is so powerful, just 12.5 milligrams are as effective as 200 milligrams of Advil or 650 milligrams of Tylenol for headaches and body pain. New Actron, the pain reliever that's so small because it's so powerful.
And joining us today on the AFC sideline is Leslie Visser. Leslie?
Hi, Alan. I'm with one of the early heroes of the game, Yancey Thigpen. You look like you've been playing with Jeff Blake all year.
Hey, it was good. I don't know if it was the right route or whatever, but we connected. It went for 6, so that's all that matters.
Well, you scored on Deion Sanders in the Super Bowl, scored here against some of the best in the world. But what happened with your offensive coordinator, Ron Earhart?
I have the slightest idea. I haven't been back in Pittsburgh, and I really don't know what the situation is. I mean, as far as I know, is it official? I really don't know. So, Ron's a great guy. And I had fun working with him, and hopefully he's still around. If not, it was fun working with him.
You're already a hero. Congratulations, Yancey. Back to you, Al.
Okay, thank you, Leslie. So, Blake hooking up with a 93-yard pass and run to Yancey Thigpen, who was in action last week, in fact, in Tempe, Arizona.
Your reference, of course, being to Ronnie Earhart, who was dismissed this past week. Speculation that he'll move on and join Bill Parcells up in New England. They, of course, were many years together with the Giants, a couple of Super Bowls.
And one thing you have to say about Jeff Blake, he played on a team that didn't make the playoffs. He hasn't thrown a pass in anger in quite some time since Christmas weekend, and so his timing seems to be there already.
Elam's kick. This is Brian Mitchell. running it back up to the 40-yard line, and the Redskin gives the NFC a first down and 10 at that spot. Now, one of the rules in this game is that you're not allowed to have 3 receivers on one side of the field. Let's take a look at that touchdown play.
Well, you mentioned you could have 2 on either side, 3 wide receivers. You cannot have them 3 receivers on the right side.
There's a tight end, and then there are 2 wide receivers to the outside.
But the wide receiver was up on the line of scrimmage. That would make the tight end ineligible.
And from the 40-yard line, it is juggled on the handoff. As moving for a gain of about 3. That is Ricky Waters taking it up to the 43-yard line. Waters renewing acquaintances with Mike Holmgren, who was the offensive coordinator at San Francisco when Ricky first came into the league. Gain of 3. It'll be second down 7.
Thing to keep in mind about that last touchdown formation, if that outside receiver is up on the line of scrimmage, he makes the tight end ineligible and he can't go downfield. There are the rules concerning the offense. The tight end has to be there for every play, but you cannot use 3 receivers on one side, and of course the tight end is a receiver.
Second down and 7, and Brett Favre guns one that hangs up in the breeze, and almost a spectacular catch made by Jerry Rice. But Steve Atwater is there to say no, sir, along with Darrell Lewis of the Oilers.
How did Jerry Rice will himself to stay in the air as long as he did? Because that ball just would not come down.
Been given up speculating on his athletic ability over the years. He does just, this is more hang time than Jordan. Oh, and he almost made it.
What a spectacular look. Lewis and Atwater. Lewis, the man who really did a nice job of breaking it up, getting his hands around the legs of Jerry Rice. What a superior effort by Jerry Rice.
And Rice, as well as Waters, renewing acquaintances with their old offensive coordinator, Mike Holmgren. His far throws on 3rd and 7, and it's caught at the 47-yard line, and that's a first down as Herman Moore of the Lions, who set an NFL record this year with 123 receptions, makes the catch and is tackled by the Chiefs' Dale Carter.
Combined wide receivers for the NFC caught 478 passes. 5 of them were elected to the Pro Bowl, were over 100 receptions apiece. Favre taking a little bit off it. Gets it right into Herman Moore.
The NFL that has observers here at the game, they are confirming to us that that was an AFC no-no in that formation on the touchdown.
1st and 10 from the 45-yard line, and it's incomplete, second down.
But there are also rules concerning line stunning and blitzing and all that sort of stuff. And gentlemen, I guarantee you, before this afternoon is over, a lot of those will be bent, if not outright broken. Players will take the game onto themselves as this thing goes along and try to make something happen.
But theoretically, the linebackers cannot blitz unless it's inside the 5-yard line, or it's 3rd and 1 or 3rd and 2. And some of the other rules, as you take a look at them right there, which will be rather flexible, as Dan referred to just a moment ago, as the afternoon wears along.
But you saw that one, all pass coverage must be man-to-man. No sitting back in a soft zone here.
Second down and 10, and you can't play a nickel either, as Emmitt Smith works his way to the outside and goes nowhere. You are limited to the 4 linemen, the 3 linebackers, and the 4 defensive backs theoretically on every play. You know, the paradox here is that the linebackers are generally voted in predicated upon their pass rushing skills, and yet they're asked to play in a game where you're not allowed to blitz.
Excellent example are the 2 AFC guys, Greg Lloyd and Bryce Pop. Now, these are 2 guys, granted, all-around football players, but you're right, they make their mark leveling quarterbacks.
Again, the reason they do not have enough time really to prepare for a lot of complexities, both offensively and defensively.
3rd and 10. Favre guns one and is dropped at the 28-yard line by Herman Moore. Incomplete, 4th down, and the NFC to kick again, with the AFC leading 7-0, 5 minutes into the game.
Not a poorly thrown ball on the part of Favre. He had to throw that behind Moore a little bit. Just good coverage as Dale Carter was there. He had to throw that a little behind him, and he did.
But again, it hit Herman Moore right on the hands, Frank. You're right.
Catch that one.
Very catchable.
Moore knows it. Herman Moore with 123 receptions on the year.
Jeff Beagles to punt. And that's Glenn Milburn, who had a spectacular day toward the end of the season against Seattle with 404 combined yards to set a record, and that one floats into the end zone for a touchback, and the ball will come out to the 20-yard line. 9:50 left first quarter in the Pro Bowl in Honolulu, 7-0 AFC.
45-yard touchdown return.
Do that? Nah, they usually go for 2.
Are you lost in a financial jungle? What you need is someone who knows the ropes. Someone you can count on for advice and financial information. MetLife can help you tame the risks and help you make sense of it all. Get Met. It pays.
Wednesday, can Grace keep a man from losing his job?
Some of the parents want to fire you.
You mean I could lose all this?
Robert Klein guest on a new Grace, Wednesday.
World-famous Diamond Head, and in the foreground, Waikiki Beach on a spectacular Sunday afternoon. Temperature here in the mid-80s, just a perfect day.
It's as beautiful as you've always heard it. It's just spectacular.
Without equivocation, we have the best weather in the United States today. I don't even have to look at the map.
No. All you have to do is a brief call home.
Yep. East means Diamond Head. West is ever. As the AFC takes over at the 20-yard line, Jeff Blake of the Cincinnati Bengals, who was originally with the Jets, hands the ball off to Chris Warren, who has just ended his free agency impending status by re-signing with the Seahawks. City to be announced. He will be with the franchise, but where the franchise will be is another matter. Let's take a look at the NFC defensively. Reggie White, John Randall, Eric Swan, and Charles Haley with his 5 Super Bowl rings. Harvey, Tuggle, and the Niners Woodall are the backers. And in the secondary, Williams and Davis, Woodson and Hanks. 2 49ers in there, Davis and Hanks. 2nd and 7, and Blake on the run, throws, and it's caught on a bounce as Chris Warren was the intended receiver. And the pass is incomplete. It will be 3rd down and 7.
Chris Warren, of course, if you were with us a year ago, had a great Pro Bowl with 127 yards rushing. Broke the old Pro Bowl record for rushing. Unfortunately, his teammate Marshall Faulk rushed for 180 on a day when they rushed for 400 yards, the AFC.
What, in a regular NFL game, no one's rushed for 400 yards collectively since back in the 50s sometime. Doesn't happen very often, and I think it's something the NFC defensively has probably talked about a little bit this week.
3rd and 7. We may have seen all we see of Faulk today as Blake tosses one over the middle, and it's dropped by Warren up at the 27. Faulk was voted the AFC starting running back, but he played very sparingly, as you'll recall, in postseason play. Missed the championship game against Pittsburgh. They did suit him up. He was in the slot for the first play today, but Ted Marchibroda said his knee is still tender and don't expect him back in the game. And there is the 64-year-old mentor of the Indianapolis Colts, who guided his team to a fantastic season, and they went a lot further than anybody thought.
On what most people think was just grit and determination and hard work and hustle, and not a glamorous franchise, the Colts, in terms of their talent on the field, but nobody outworks it.
Darren Bennett with an ugly punt, and the San Diego kicker with a marker down. boots it out of bounds at the 44-yard line, and we have our first penalty of the game as the referee Tom White will momentarily.
There normally is special team confusion during a Pro Bowl because these are a group of guys that are not used to playing on special teams. They're too good for that. These guys play from scrimmage and not on special teams, and they're not thrilled about being there.
Substitution violation, 12 men, defense, 5-yard penalty from the previous spot.
And how do you figure?
Replay 4th down.
How do you figure that in an arena here where they're all trying to get off the field, they're flagged for too many guys on the field? I could see sometimes where they don't have 8 or 9, and you could see one of the NFC guys just trying to get off the field, didn't make it.
So Bennett gets another shot at it. A 33-yard punt will never be recorded officially. And the man from Australia who played Australian rules football, who played in the World League, and did a great job with San Diego, kicks again.
This is the closest game he'll have to his native Australia.
Look at those numbers, too. He really picked this game up quickly. He was on the practice squad for San Diego in '94 and really made a big time last year.
There's Steve Tasker, the special teams representative, and that kick's almost blocked. A booming kick, a tremendous kick, fielded at the 14-yard line by Brian Mitchell, and Mitchell with room to roam up past the 30, and it's a 17-yard run back up to the 31-yard line after a 58-yard punt that was almost blocked by Atlanta's Elbert Shelley. So Bennett booms one, and with 8:34 to go, a near block by Shelley, and it's 7-0 AFC.
Without limits, that's the world that's coming. That's the world we want. And one company can help you put it all within your reach.
Now is a great time to be alive. The world is moving to a brilliant sun. Now is a great time for man, woman, child. I tell you, children, I tell you something. Listen, people, I tell you something. My human family, I tell you true. It's all within your reach.
AT&T, that's your true choice.
I don't need some fancy cologne to tell me I'm a man. I use Skin Bracer. It smells great, but it also cools and tones my skin. Confidence is very sexy, don't you think?
Original and cooling blue.
By Menon. With my itchy dandruff, I said I'd try it. Denorex tingles. Head and Shoulders doesn't.
Both have effective dandruff medicine, but Denorex has something extra that tingles, feels fresh.
That's why I started using Denorex. The flakes, the itch, gone.
Denorex, the serious dandruff shampoo.
Dave has a dilemma. What to put on Wendy's new bacon cheeseburger?
Dave, something mild. Play it safe.
Come on, don't be a wimp. Give it some zing.
Oh, no. Gouda would be nice.
Spice it up. How about pepper jack?
Oh, my.
Well, Dave started cooking. A quarter pound of fresh beef, 3 strips of bacon, the perfect sauce, and a slice of pepper jack cheese for a bacon cheeseburger that's really spicy.
Oh, Dave, be careful.
Mind your own business. Attaboy.
Wendy's new pepper jack bacon cheeseburger.
Gotta be the cheese.
It's the Comedy Spot.
Tuesday.
We're interested in a vasectomy.
Oh, no. She's more interested than I am.
It's the final cut of a new home improvement. Tuesday.
Back in Honolulu, our coverage of the AFC-NFC Pro Bowl is being brought to you by Budweiser, official sponsor of the 1996 U.S. Olympic team. Is Buds for you. Speed Stick by Menon. Like you, it never quits. And new Acton, the pain reliever that's so small because it's powerful. On first down, that's Michael Irvin getting into the action for the first time, and the member of the Super Bowl champion Dallas Cowboys is tackled by Terry McDaniel.
Interesting that Michael Irvin, of the 4 wideouts for the NFC, had the fewest receptions at 111.
Stop and think about it. You need to understand how quickly this game is evolving. That he had 111 receptions, a record-breaking year just a couple of years ago, and that puts him 4th among the receivers chosen, and actually 5th when you take into consideration Isaac Bruce, who had 119 receptions and wasn't even voted the Pro Bowl scorer.
On 2nd and 9, Barry Sanders goes nowhere. He's tackled by Carnell Lake coming up from the secondary.
It just wasn't that long ago that a 50-reception season really meant something. It was a benchmark, and I'm just not talking decades ago. A 50-reception season, you were really getting it done.
And the AFC was known as the pass-happy Conference of the National Football League.
And this year, no AFC guy hit triple figures. Pickens was the leader. As you look at Anthony Miller, Pickens had 99. Even a running back had 100 catches this year. Larry Centers, who would have been in the game, but had some personal problems early in the week, and they replaced him with Craig Hayward. On 3rd and 12, the catch is made by Irvin, who breaks the tackle, gets into AFC territory, is nearly taken down, and then finally shoved out of bounds at the 20-yard line. Broke a Darrell Lewis would-be tackle on a 51-yard reception.
And what a sensational play by Brett Favre. He had to get rid of that ball in a hurry, and he delivered it right there. This is some of the excitement of Brett Favre. There's mayhem in the pocket, and look where this ball comes to Irvin. Right on the hands.
Darrell Lewis giving away about 6 inches or 5 inches to big Michael Irvin.
And Greg Lloyd almost put him down as he just got on the back of his heels, slowed him up enough. Michael Irvin is a lot of things. He is not the possessor of tremendous breakaway speed.
Emmett Smith picks up 2. Emmett's teammate, Troy Aikman, would have been here. Aikman would have been one of the NFC quarterbacks, but Troy will have elbow surgery in midweek. So Marino would have been the AFC starter, but he was banged up and is not here. Aikman is missing as well. As you look at Warren Moon, the number 3 QB, and Brett Favre, in fact, is going to have his ankle scoped at some point in the next month or so, because he's had some problems with his left ankle, but well enough to play today.
And another 100 reception receiver, Jay Novacek, couldn't be here either because of an injury. Brent Jones replaced him.
Right, and Ray Donaldson would have been the center for the NFC for the Cowboys. Had 10 guys named, the 3 were hurt, and that's almost picked off at the 2-yard line by Darrell Lewis of the Oilers. 3rd and 8.
If there's any fault at all in Brett Favre, and there is very little, is that he feels like Superman down there. He feels that he could get completed in any almost impossible situation, and that was kind of one of them.
Well, you know, he's got a Superman tattoo on his shoulder. Maybe that's where it comes from.
Well, you love that about a quarterback.
Bleed-through effect.
He genuinely believes in himself. And he has toned it down and tempered it down somewhat to the satisfaction of his head coach, Mike Holmgren, who is also coaching, of course, the NFC squad. And he will still try to get it done on his own.
3rd down and 8, and Favre gets taken down. The ball comes loose, but they're going to say it's an incomplete pass because his arm was coming forward. Cortez Kennedy making the acquaintance of Brett Favre as he released it.
I'm not sure the intent of that play.
Well, at least it would have been illegal grounding or something.
Whichever of the coaches on the NFC offensive side that drew that thing up, I'll bet you right now none of them are attempting to take credit for this.
Is this a poor man's shovel or just the...
I don't know what that is, but suffice it to say that on that one given play, all the members of the NFC offensive line decided not to block.
Another rule in this game, there is no such thing as intentional grounding in the Pro Bowl.
And
it can't be called.
That's the way it ought to be.
A collective, I'm not going to.
That's where all the offensive linemen yelled back to the quarterback, you should have thrown it to me, I was open.
This is a 36-yard field goal attempt now. Morton Anderson, the longtime Saint who had a great season with Atlanta in his first year with the Falcons, he kicked 8 field goals of 50 or more yards this year. So this for him, a chip shot. And it's good. Anderson tacks on 3, and we have 5:57 to play in the first quarter. 7-3 AFC.
Welcome to the greatest air connections of the past 25 years, brought to you by Southwest Airlines, celebrating its 25th anniversary. Southwest Airlines, the low-fare airline. Amidst the spectacle of Super Bowl 30, Dallas tight end Jay Novacek displayed the form that's made him a 5-time Pro Bowler by hauling in 5 passes and a touchdown that helped the Cowboys wrap up their 5th NFL title.
Aikman to pass on 1st and goal from the 3. Wide open, Jay Novacek, touchdown!
The rooster says. The sheep says. The low-fare airline says.
We offer low fares to all our destinations. Switch to Southwest Airlines and you can save money the next time you fly. Just call 1-800-I-FLY-SWA.
Mom?
Important news from Cardism CD.
Ready for our walk?
Yes.
What
did this come from?
Oh, that's the Carter Sense newsletter. It's free with my Cartersome CD prescription.
This article on walking is really interesting.
Yeah, we're exercising more and eating better.
Ask your doctor about Cartism CD and the Cartisense newsletter, and call 1-800-532-4411 for one free copy of Cartisense. Cartism CD and Cartisense.
Outstanding college basketball action next week on an ABC. Regional coverage Saturday, Georgia Tech against North Carolina, or UCLA taking on Stanford. Check your local listings. And then on Sunday, early, NC State against Arizona State, or Temple against #1 ranked UMass. And then following that, regional coverage, Cincinnati against Arizona, or Texas against TCU. College basketball next weekend right here on ABC. Morton Anderson to kick off with 5:57 to go in the opening period. AFC on top 7-3. Glenn Milburn of the Broncos back to receive it. A one-hopper. Milburn will take it at the goal line. Glenn, the all-purpose back for the Broncos, is stopped at the 19-yard line by Elbert Shelley, and that a boy. Neil Smith told me before the game he'd forgotten his paint. But I said, hey, look, man, you always come out with that designer nose band or Band-Aid, and there he is. Hawaiian-style little palm tree, an island, and a couple goals.
Remember when he was the first one to wear one of those? Now you see him all over the league.
Neil normally adorns himself with the glittery gold with some red on it. That, fits right in with the crowd at Arrowhead.
Yeah. Looks like he buys most of them on Rodeo Drive. This one in the trainer's room before the game. As Blake throws up to the 21-yard line, and it's caught there by Curtis Martin of the Patriots for a gain of 3. And let's check in with our man Lynn Swanlin.
Thank you, Michael. That was some kind of catch and run. Nice move at the end there.
Yeah, I tell you what, Brett gave him a pretty good ball. You know, it's not quite how I threw it to him, but they were pretty good. I got it anyway.
A great season for the Cowboys. Your head man, Barry Switzer, came under a lot of pressure, a lot of stress. You were one of his biggest defenders. Give us a reading on Barry and how he feels about the Super Bowl win.
Well, you know, first of all, I wasn't a big supporter just to be supporting him. I mean, I thought it was justifiably so. You know, I went in the NFC Championship game last year, went to the Super Bowl. This year, you know, people just tend not to give him the credit he deserves, and I'm just trying to make sure people understand the work that he do, the things that he do, and even the things he don't do. He don't do the things he don't need to do. We got a championship football team. All you got to do is let the coaches go and let the players play.
What's one thing, if you had to pick one thing that makes him the coach that you like playing for?
Well, I think the biggest thing is his belief in the player. The Philadelphia call, the 4th-and-1 call, he took a lot of heat. He knew he would take a lot of heat if we didn't make it. We as an offensive unit wanted to go for it. And he said, all right, guys, y'all got the kind of confidence, I got the confidence in y'all, and he went for it with us.
If you're going to tell him I have confidence he didn't do anything. Thank you.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
All right, Lynn, on 3rd and 7, the catch was made by Anthony Miller, and he picks up a first down as they convert, and he shoved out of bounds up at the 45-yard line by Aeneas Williams and Eric Allen.
Another fine ball by Jeff Blake, and a good spin move by Anthony Miller as he shows his speed. Anthony Miller, the first Denver Bronco wide receiver to go to a Pro Bowl in John Elway's career. Top of your screen, Miller with a good speed. Spins to the outside, breaks the tackle, and gets the first down out close to the 45.
22-yard pickup. Warren Moon, we'll see him in action a little bit later. We'll also see Steve Young, probably sometime in the first half. Swinging to the outside, Curtis Wharton, the youngest player in the game at the age of 22. The rookie from Pittsburgh led the AFC in rushing, and in an otherwise disappointing season for New England because so much was expected of the Patriots and Drew Bledsoe had his troubles. Curtis Martin was a beacon.
How far down the list of people that you would have, you know, if you were given a chance to select the guy that would lead the AFC in rushing, get almost 1,500 yards, a 3rd-round draft choice, I think we might have worked long and hard until we got to Curtis Martin. A tremendous year for a rookie.
Almost 1,500 yards.
Oh, just spectacular.
2nd down and 9. And a big hole, and it's exploited by Curtis Martin for a first down as he takes it to the 43-yard line behind a nice block by Kimball Anders, the unsung Kansas City fullback. And Marty Schottenheimer was telling us in mid-year, he said, you know, Kimball Anders should be in the Pro Bowl. He's having that kind of a season, and he helped prove why right there.
Marty Schottenheimer was talking about the maturation of Anders and how he's loved to see it. Outstanding blocking up front. There is that lead block on Ken Harvey by Anders. But there's the one thing that Curtis Martin can do so well. He makes people miss in traffic. He's a good runner in close quarters. He can have people brushing off of him and still making a cut and making another tackler miss.
Movement before the snap and a penalty.
You know, a lot of running backs, Frank, as you well know, can make a nice move out in the open field, but it's that able to make people, you know, the ability to make people miss in traffic.
Ball start prior to the snap. Number 67, offense, 5 yards, still first down.
Will Wolford on the call, and you're so right, Dan. It's the feet, really.
Right.
He keeps the feet, he keeps the balance. He has a great instinct where it's coming from. More than that, he covers up the football awfully well for a rookie, too. If you play for Bill Parcells, you better cover it up or you'll be somewhere else.
When you have good enough feet that you've got one guy on your shoulder trying to tackle you, and you have the presence of mind to make another guy miss in the process of that, that's when you're good.
Catch made by Tim Brown, and the Raider wideout is bumped out of bounds at the 42-yard line by Eric Davis of the 49ers. Eric Davis, one of several free agents, and the 49ers clearly have set their sights, among other things, on retaining him. Speaking of free agents, Ted Marcher-Broda, despite the great season in Indianapolis, does not have a contract for next year. He is not signed for the 1996 season, and Ted is being represented by his son. Ted Jr. is handling the negotiations of what might be a first.
Was he happy about last year?
Oh, yeah.
He is before it.
Second down and 8. Blake coming back the other way and throws it out of bounds, and we'll get a word with Leslie Visser. Leslie?
Campbell was a blockbuster as soon as he came into the league. Now a Hall of Famer, Mel Renfro. Mel, congratulations to you. First of all the Super Bowls that you played on for Dallas, which is the most memorable for you?
Well, Super Bowl 12, I would say, because that's the one I went out on. That's the one I retired. That was my second one, so that was the best.
What a way to go. You, of course, were a tremendous cornerback. You played in 10 Pro Bowls. What do you think of the Cowboys cornerback today?
Well, good. Really good. It just doesn't get any better than that. I think Deion has done a great job, and he'll continue to do a great job.
Of course, Larry Brown was the MVP of the Super Bowl. Back then, would you have wanted to play both ways as Deion does?
Well, yeah, I think so. I think I have the ability to do it, but I think Coach Landry wouldn't have allowed it back in those days.
Probably not. You're pretty impressive with what you did. And, of course, Al, our guy, played both ways, Frank Gifford. Al?
He sure did.
I don't like that reference to back in those days, though. What are we talking about? Let's say how far back in those days?
Not that far.
I played against Mel. He was as good as they come, and he could have played offense. He was a great return man.
Well, can you imagine, though, the way he retired from the game? The last time you walk off of a football field, you walk off as a world champion after winning a Super Bowl. Now there is a man that knew how to orchestrate his own exit.
William Fuller and Chris Dolman just sacked Jeff Blake, and that sets up a fourth down and a punt here. It's a 13-yard sack, and Darren Bennett, who boomed his last one, sent one skyward. A mile high, and it floats down at the 6-yard line and bounces into the end zone as Brian Mitchell let it go. 54-yard kick and a 34-yard net. 1:54 left in the quarter. 7-3 American Conference.
What would I like? Baked clam. Yes. Veal parmesan. Oh, and garlic bread.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, all the things that give me heartburn. Oh, and it's too late to take my Pepcid AC.
What?
The package says to prevent heartburn, you have to take it an hour before eating.
An hour? You don't have to wait that long.
I don't?
Try my Tagamet HB.
Tagamet?
The label says it takes half the time of your Pepcid.
You're kidding.
No.
I mean, I could take Tagamet HB now, order what I want, and not get heartburn?
Sure, and it lasts for hours.
Waiter.
Tagamet HB, advanced prevention of heartburn in half the time.
Recently, Jeep engineers made an amazing discovery.
We found it.
Yeah, the perfect way to improve our four-wheel drive system.
And one discovery led to another.
Wow. Our new suspension enhancements perform great out here.
The new Jeep Grand Cherokee, Four-Wheeler Magazine's Four-Wheeler of the Year.
Amazing.
The dual airbags?
Yeah.
Obviously, our engineers didn't miss a thing.
How Domino champ Charlie Armstrong eats a Reese's Peanut Butter Cup.
Yeah!
There's no wrong way to eat a Reese's.
When sports cream, when arms are sore,
when legs ache, when muscles hurt. Why Sports Cream? Massaging Sports Cream in brings fast pain relief. No medicine-y smell, no odor. Why Sports Cream? Because it works.
Earlier this week, Jerry Rice took to the links. Not bad. Pretty sweet swing there.
There's some clubhead speed. He generated a little.
Oh, Greg Lloyd, he's a guy who could probably hit it 300 yards.
Nice. Got his hips facing the target. That's well done.
Yep. And Mike Holmgren, Coach Mike, was out there this week. And I know that shot. I
didn't think you were supposed to take a divot with your driver.
I know that shot, man.
I know you do.
28-yard ground ball as Favre unleashes one, and it's caught by Jerry Rice in AFC territory at the 43-yard line. He got position on Terry McDaniel, and the great one coming off maybe his greatest season hauls it in.
If I'm Brett Favre, as a wonderful a season as I've had, when this game's over, I go into the locker room and I ask Jerry Rice to sign that football just so I can take it home and put it on my mantle. That's one of the privileges of ever getting to throw a pass to this man, number 80. And will we ever tire of watching him play?
Not poorly played at all by Terry McDaniel, and he could have taken it away, and Rice just went up and comes down with it.
That's another good throw by Brett Favre, who's off to an awfully good start in this ballgame.
43-yard line. And Barry Sanders. So there's the 38. We talk about all the records and the receiving marks this year, and Jerry Rice, among others, set a record this year. Most yards on receptions in a season, 1,848. And when you think about it, you divide it by 16, and you realize here's a guy whose average game is well over 100 yards per contest.
And you think of Jerry Rice, so many slants, but his average per catch is over 15 yards.
And how about his average gain after the catch? His ability to break tackles and catch the ball in traffic and take a big hit and keep on going.
2nd and 6, and Ricky Waters, Rice's ex-mate. Great move there, a little Dion action there, and down to the 9-yard line goes the Philadelphia Eagle, where he's tackled by Atwater and Lake. Ricky Waters, 29 yards.
I know Dion has made that high-stepping kick fashionable of late, but really the guy I think of when I see it is Walter Payton. Yeah. Walter used to love to do that out in the open field as well.
Good move to the outside now. A quick little cut, plants the right foot, breaks it outside. Now we get the high stepping right here. And it does break the tackle of Carnell Lake. He gets a couple of yards out of it.
End of the quarter, 7-3 AFC. We'll return with coverage of the AFC-NFC Pro Bowl after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
If you want relief from minor arthritis pain, turn up the heat on arthritis. Just minutes after applying Ultra Strength Bengay, you can actually see the heat. That's because Ultra Strength Bengay is the strongest, most advanced Bengay ever, and the only one with the powerful heating relief of 3 pain relievers, and it'll last for hours. Try Ultra Strength Bengay and turn up the heat on arthritis.
Now Bengay comes in an easy open flip-top tube, commended by the Arthritis Foundation.
28, Baker Bruce!
It takes more than a great player. It takes a great man to open a center for the treatment of cystic fibrosis. Congratulations, Boomer Esiason, True Value NFL Man of the Year. You've been a big help.
This is ABC.
Welcome to an Ameritech test tent.
Okay, gentlemen, today, razor cuts. Attention, Henry.
Where folks continually test our stuff to make sure it's easy to use. Like video conferencing, which lets you exchange ideas halfway around the world.
Walter, your turn. Okay. Now, remember, beauty starts here. It's all mental.
Because if technology doesn't work for people, it doesn't work. Ameritech, your link to better communication.
The sexy secrets of Melrose Place revealed next ET.
Please note that Saturday here on ABC, Wide World of Sports features the Thrifty Car Rental Skating Spectacular. You'll see Michelle Kwan and our other national champions taking the ice on Wide World of Sports, coming your way next Saturday. Al Michaels with Frank Gifford, Hall of Famer Dan Deerdorf, Lynn Swan, and Leslie Visser here in Hawaii on a day that we took a look at the weather map in the paper this morning, and they happen to be Hawaii, as they say.
Yes, and that those brutal temperatures are not only in the east. They are in the Midwest. They are everywhere. It is below zero in a lot of parts of this country.
St. Louis was getting hit pretty heavily this week. And
terrible.
Kathy and Cody and Cass are watching in sub-freezing temperatures back in the east. At least I think they're watching.
I was going to say.
Feel pretty good about that.
Cass might have gone no.
We start the second quarter. First and goal for the NFC at the 9-yard line. And Favre hands the ball off to Emmitt Smith, who takes it inside the 5 and still wrestling forward. And look at Emmitt go down to about the 2-yard line, and Emmitt wants a touchdown, but the officials say no, it's a 7-yard gain.
That whistle blew a long time ago, but it was fun to watch.
Something about football, end zone, Emmitt Smith, they seem to go hand in hand. His 25 touchdowns this season, setting a single season record. And look at it, this man loves to play the game, doesn't he?
He opened our season on Monday Night Football against the Giants and closed it against Arizona.
My God, Kevin Glover just grabbed him and threw him into the end zone.
Hayward and Waters now the running backs in the double tight end set here on second down and goal. And here's Ricky Waters, who gets the ball inside the 1-yard line and is a little bit short. Third and goal upcoming. Emmitt Smith, well, he even being held to 49 yards in the Super Bowl, he still managed to get into the end zone twice. And Emmitt now, along with Thurman Thomas, are tied for the most touchdowns in NFL postseason history at 18.
Why do you think that there's a pretty good chance that Emmitt may get back into postseason play?
I have guaranteed.
Good place that they have it in their offensive set. They go with a rollout. Favre very good at it.
Third and goal. You have 4 Chiefs in there defensively. Favre throwing into the corner of the end zone. It is incomplete. In the back of the end zone, it was Brent Jones, the 49er tight end, who couldn't make the catch. Derek Thomas was putting the pressure that time on Favre. Thomas, normally a linebacker, had lined up as a down lineman on the play and this was eligible to rush.
And they're going to the field goal and leave Favre on and go for it on 4th down.
Why not?
Why not?
This is a Pro Bowl. This isn't. Nobody back home is going to do anything nasty to you if you make a call like this. The fans here are enjoying it. They'd much rather see a 4th and goal play than they would a field goal.
Emmitt Smith back into the lineup, so just guess who?
Well, one thing to keep in mind is, and Brett Favre has to take a timeout, but this is one of the most mobile quarterbacks in the game today, and he's certainly an excellent weapon on 4th and short.
He'd run out of time on the play clock.
Right. Play clock was down to 2, so he takes a timeout, and we'll take a timeout early in the second quarter.
It may seem like a funny analogy, but building the Chrysler Cirrus was a lot like making a movie. We produced it, released it to a critical audience, and waited for the reviews. Car and Driver called Cirrus the new benchmark for compact sedans. Automobile Magazine raved about its brilliant styling and excellent handling. Motor Trend said it's the most significant vehicle in the market. Cirrus has received great reviews and a lot of awards, but that's no surprise, considering its performance.
At Prime Star, we think everybody should be able to enjoy mini-dish satellite television. At the same time, we believe that nobody should have to pay hundreds and hundreds of dollars to buy a dish. So with Prime Star, there's no equipment to buy. Our dish comes with the service, along with 95 channels, digital picture, digital sound. And it all starts at about $1 a day. Call 1-800-PRIME-STAR and enjoy.
Now there are 4 ways to get the power of Selsun Blue, the #1 doctor-recommended dandruff shampoo. There's medicated, moisturizing, 2-in-1, balanced, 4 powerful Selsun Blue formulas. Now you've got even more Selsun power.
No trendy health club. No $60 shorts. No excuses. Speed Stick's no-nonsense formula gives you 110% protection. Like you, it never quits.
5 minutes.
Coverage of the Pro Bowl is being brought to you by Chrysler, leaders in innovative design and engineering. Prime Star. Mini dish satellite entertainment with no dish to buy. And Office Depot, taking care of business for companies of every size, everywhere, every day. 13:24 left in the opening half in Honolulu. Vince Tobin, the defensive coordinator and a man who interviewed earlier this week for the Arizona Cardinals head coaching job. His defense tries to hold 4th and goal. Emmitt Smith is in the game, and Favre's going to throw it. And it is caught for a touchdown by Jerry Rice.
Just another brilliant throw by Brett Favre.
Well, he's done it all in this first half. I mean, he's thrown some bullets. He's zipped it in there. He's just a little bit of everything. Great control with the ball. Perfectly placed, a little roll to the right.
Just perfect. There's no other way to describe it. Just perfect.
But he's taken some off the ball when he had to, made it easy to catch.
Dale Carter in the chase position. Now he let Rice get a good step on him to the outside, and if the ball's anywhere close, you know it's a touchdown. But that ball was more than just close. That ball was, well, I'm back to the same word, perfect.
Morton Anderson bangs one through, and the NFC takes the lead for the first time in the game. The AFC took an early lead on the 93-yard touchdown pass from Blake to Yancey Thigpen. Anderson in with a field goal, and now Favre to Rice to make it 10-7 NFC.
And you have Favre, still to come is Steve Young. We'll be seeing him shortly, even maybe before the end of the half.
And for the AFC, we'll take a look at Jim Harbaugh, coming off a tremendous year in which he led the league in pass rating. It's the first time anybody beside Young has led the league in pass rating over the last 5 seasons. And let's check in with Leslie Visser. Leslie?
Well, tremendous pass by Brett Favre. What were you expecting on that play?
Well, we knew that we were going to get an option route to Jerry Rice, but we were in a coverage where we tried to double both outside guys and left the slot guy one-on-one. But good play, good design. We'll be all right. I had him and stood up, though. He wasn't going nowhere. All them damn 900-pound linemen hit me. I had him stood up. I'm going to crunch him the rest of the day. He mine. I'm going to own him by the end of the day.
Better watch out. Well, what about for you? You mentioned that one of the teams you might be interested in is Dallas. You might be a teammate of his.
Well, Dion and Emmett and Michael and Nate Newton, they all been telling me to make that stop in Dallas and visit them in the free agent market. But, you know, we'll see what happens. I'll meet with Jimmy this week, and we'll discuss my future in Miami. But I want a long-term deal. You know, I want a deal that I can end my career wherever I go. You know, a lot of teams. I mean, this is like college. This is a meat factory. This is recruiting time.
Do players now want to be recruited a little bit?
I don't enjoy this. I don't envy this position. You know, I'd like to know what my future is and where I'm going to be. But, you know, you get recruited by all kind of guys. Guys saying, hey, man, make the stop in my town. And you got all kind of people just coming up to you, hey, man, we want you, man. Come over here. And you know, I done heard from everybody down there this week.
Oh, you have 2 weeks to decide. Best of luck.
Oh, yeah.
Back to you, Alan.
All right, Leslie. Len Milburn returns the kick and brings it back out to the 22-yard line as Leslie talked with Brian Cox, one of a number of free agents.
Leslie had a talk with Brian? I don't remember Leslie talking.
He had a good listen.
Yeah.
Hey, the verbiage will really go up if he goes to Dallas.
Brian Cox is a player I know that probably most people know him for his televised antics, some of the emotional outbursts that he has had after plays and during games, and thrown out and leaving the field in Buffalo. Let me tell you something. One of the most personable people in the National Football League, and a team that every team in this league would like to have. He can play. They like him. He's a wonderful influence in the locker room. He's a good kid.
First down from the 18-yard line. And it is incomplete. You know, of all the wacky things that can happen, can you imagine a scenario in which Brian Cox signs with Buffalo?
No.
No, not in the least.
But you know what? It's been this kind of year in the NFL. We've just had a team move because their stadium is not earthquake-proof, so they're going to move to Southern California, right? It's been that kind of a year.
Well, wait, are they? Are they just out there for a bit, aren't they?
Well, with the Seattle, who knows? They're the Seahawks this week, and God knows where they'll be next week.
To wrap up the Brian Cox situation, he's made it known that he would prefer to stay with the Miami Dolphins if he can work it out. He likes South Florida.
On second down, this is Kimball Anders picking up about 3. Jesse Tuggle of the Atlanta Falcons, who year after year is among the leaders in tackles around the National Football League, makes the stop.
Yeah, the Seattle story is one I'm sure we'll get into as this day moves along, but it's not often you see a team that announces that they're leaving when in reality they don't have anywhere to go.
it's one of the weirdest things ever, with Houston going to Nashville, of course, and Cleveland theoretically heading for Baltimore. The league has a meeting, by the way, in Chicago this week. And clearly among the subject of discussion will be the franchise movement as Blake can't get going and a flag goes down as he is wrapped up by Chris Dolman of the Atlanta Falcons.
Face mask. Well, Chris Dolman is arguing for a holding call. Richmond Webb held Dolman for so long, he felt bad about it and finally let him go. And Dolman went ahead and got the sack. Chris Dolman right now is thinking that life is not fair. He's thinking that he is being held so badly prior to this by Richmond Webb, and then he finally gets the sack, and you can see his hand just grazed across his face mask, but that was enough to bring the call from Tom White, the referee. Richmond got away with a big one there. One of the fine offensive tackles in the National Football League. 6 years in the league, 6 Pro Bowls. How's that for getting out of the chute in a hurry? Awesome.
And playing alongside his mate, Keith Sims, who's the guard, is on 1st and 10 now. Blake play fake. And then swings one out of bounds. It'll be 2nd down and 10. And let's check in with Swanee again. Lynn?
Thank you very much, Al. Brett, your kind of weather, huh?
This is nice, but I'm not used to it.
Yeah. Listen, you had a great season, a breakout season. The MVP says it all. And Dan Dierdorfer's up there. Those passes you're throwing, absolutely perfect. Now, how do you keep doing that? How do you keep living up to that?
I think, you know, it's a couple of things. It's hard work and preparation. It's believing that you can do it, believing that you can play with these guys.
You're throwing in some pretty talented wide receivers here this afternoon, but what do you have to do in Green Bay to make sure that you're ready for the challenge that you know you're going to get for 1996?
I think the first thing we need to do is sign all the players that we have in our team, the people who got us to where we are right now, and maybe go out and get a couple of free agents. I don't know. That's up to our front office. But then I think, as I said just now, we have to believe we belong on the field with anyone. You know, we've lost to Dallas 6 straight times, and they're a great football team, but we can play with them. Everyone says get them in Green Bay, but we need to beat them there first.
Well, I think your confidence and the fact that players love to play with you is a big deal for the Green Bay Packers and one of the key factors. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lynn.
Okay, Len, you know, one of the things he talked about signing free agents, Mark Chmura, the tight end, is a free agent, and Mike Holmgren made it very clear to us yesterday that that is like priority A for the Packers to get Chmura under contract for next year.
Re-signing and signing free agents, the overriding part of any conversation with both players and management and coaches nowadays in the NFL.
What do you need to play this game, guys? I'll tell you what you need. You need a football, and right there, 21 guys started to play without the football, and the center kept it.
Mark Stepnoski, the former Cowboy, now a member of the Oilers.
False start. Prior to the snap. Number 8, pulling out from under the center. 5 yards, 3rd down.
It's amazing, though, how well they come together, teams with different terminologies. Every team, maybe the even numbers are to the left, the odd to the right, but every team is different in their terminology. They come in here and really in 3 or 4 work days, they put together an offense, put together a defense, albeit with some restrictions, and we've seen some of that flexibility there today already, but it's really amazing that they can come in and play as well as they do. Year in and year out.
3rd and 19, the NFC leading 10-7 early in the second quarter. Blake showing a lot of mobility, and then he guns one short of the 1st down into the arms of Tim Brown up at the 36-yard line. Let's get a word again from Leslie.
Football League, Charlie Joyner, congratulations on making the Hall of Fame. Charlie, you played for 3 different teams, but you had your greatest impact under Don Coryell. Why was that system perfect for you?
Because the Don Coryell system fitted my personality, it fitted my skills. And I was very fortunate to get with a quarterback like Dan Fouts and other receivers like Winslow, Jefferson, and Chandler. And Al Coryell became a very potent weapon within the league. And as a result, we all caught a lot of balls, and that's the reason why I'm here today.
Well, thanks. You were a pleasure to watch.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Darren Bennett with a monster kick. Brian Mitchell had it go through his legs and out of the end zone, and that is a 64-yard kick for Darren Bennett.
Up and long. Woo. Had ice on it when it came down.
Air traffic control.
Taking care of business.
No other city in the world has more beautiful neon signs than Las Vegas. And nobody manufactures more neon signs than Yesco. They buy raw materials from out of state, but they get office supplies right here in town from Office Depot. Taking care of business. Taking care of business is what Office Depot does best, with guaranteed next business day delivery. Saving time and money.
Delivery is just a phone call away.
Taking care of business.
Office Depot.
We wanted the LHS to be the kind of car that, even when you're not driving it, you're thinking about driving it. It really was designed to spoil you in every way. An aggressive 214 horsepower engine in front of you, luxury amenities all around. Once you drive an LHS, it's not something you'll soon forget.
Great.
Well, it can't get any worse than this.
For the great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down.
I stand corrected.
Make it a Bud Light.
You're never gonna get it open.
Hang on for the flight of your life,
Quick! This is the hijacking.
because you never know who's sitting next to you. In the world premiere Hijack Flight 285 tonight.
Most everybody here having a great time today, but here's a guy whose heart is starting to pound. Michael Volino is a New York City policeman who won a contest and a promotion. He, at halftime, will attempt to kick a 35-yard field goal. If he does it, it will be worth $1 million. As Barry Sanders runs into the umpire after picking up 9. So Mike Volino, if he misses, $10,000. If he makes it, and Jason Elam was coaching him to a degree earlier this week. If Mike Volino makes it, he will be in a brand new punitive tax bracket.
He won't realize it for a while, though, because his excitement level, I think, will be off the charts. And I think he's probably in desperate need of a drink of water right now. I would imagine his tongue is starting to stick to the roof of his mouth.
The New York policeman, I'll tell you, nothing's going to scare him, though.
Steve Young, the quarterback, the 49ers great QB, and he hits his ex-mate Ricky Waters, and that's a first down up at the 34-yard line. Meanwhile, Darren Bennett's last punt, that 64-yarder, tying a Pro Bowl record, first set in 1974 by Tom Whittam of the 49ers. Bennett's punts today, 58, 54, and 64.
You know, there are 64-yard punts and there are 64-yard punts. That ball had enormous hang time. You can kick a ball 64 yards, but usually you drill it and they run it right back down your throat.
What could be better, though, than going to the Pro Bowl as a punter? You don't do anything all week long. You just stand around. You have no risk of anything happening to you. You bang it a couple times today, you get off. Perfect.
Young throws, catch made by Chimura, and the Green Bay tight end has a first down at the 49 of the AFC. As far as Darren Bennett is concerned, the Aussie earlier this season Darren Bennett of the Chargers. Remember this play against the Pittsburgh Steelers as Andre Hastings was running back a punt. Boom.
Well, he was a good rugby player. There's no question that he knows how to hit. He wasn't form-like, but good form. But rugby's a pretty tough game.
Well, it helps when you're 230-some pounds, too.
Nice move by Waters, but he can only get back to the line of scrimmage, or Emmett Smith, rather, as he gets to the 49-yard line. It'll be second down and 10. Emmett Smith, one more year on his contract, and then Watt in Dallas. I have to laugh. Everybody's saying, well, the dynasty might be over. They've been saying that for so long. To me, it's real clear. If you've got a great front office, if you've got people who know what they are doing, there are ways to retain the players, and if you lose some, you bring in others. And Dallas and San Francisco have clearly proven over the last several years they are capable of continuing on despite the salary cap.
And I'll add one thing to everything you touched upon, Al. The real key to winning is to draft well. And that's the Cowboys right now are reaping the benefits of their drafts. When they draft Aikman, when they draft Irvin, when they draft Smith, 3 number 1s that have come up huge. Number 2s like Daryl Johnston. Guys like Larry Allen that they get a little further down the line and they come through big. It's because the Cowboys are right now cashing in the dividends that they've gotten from really putting together superior drafts, one after the other. And of course, a couple free agents like Charles Haley. That didn't hurt at all.
2nd down and 15. You know, when I read those stories about the end of a dynasty, it's almost as if the writers are just trying to be self-fulfilling. They all predicted the demise of Dallas. They all thought Barry Switzer was a dope. The next thing you know, he's holding up the trophy. So now, as a self-fulfilling prophecy, they're going to say it's all over.
Yeah, that dope went 12-4 in the regular season, by the way. And the thing that has impressed me, though, a team like Indianapolis proved in this era of free agency, when you go out and build a football team, you better get some guys that can play as a team. You still have to play as a team. Dallas won this year because they came together as a team after that Philadelphia game when they were so criticized. Barry took so much criticism on the 4th down. But when you go out and get free agents, you better make sure they come together as a team, as Indianapolis did and Miami didn't.
3rd down and 15. Young guns one, and it's incomplete. Chris Carter was double teamed, and the Aloha spirit does not necessarily prevail in this little tete-a-tete with Steve Atwater.
That's a bit of a rarity here, and all of a sudden now, I don't know what Chris said on his way back, but it caught Atwater's attention. He almost came after him again. Let's see if we can see what started it here. It's actually Carter going after the defensive back to break up the interception. Atwater's the second one in. It was an excellent play by Carter to break up the interception initially. I think he appreciated a little pop he got from Atwater.
6:40 to go in the half. NFC on top 10-7. And the play clock has gone down to 0, but Tom White says reset it at 25. The Broncos, despite not making the playoffs this season, had 6 guys named to the AFC Pro Bowl squad, though one of them, Gary Zimmerman, the tackle, not here because of an injury. Line drive kick. And Milburn, one of those aforementioned Broncos, has to take it inside the 10-yard line and is tackled by Elbert Shelley. We have 6:28 to go in the first half, a 3-point lead for the NFC.
It seems ironic that trucks so diligently engineered to be quiet would have so much volume. Dodge Ram and Dodge Ram Club Cab, the roomiest pickups on the road. The rules have changed.
If you take care of it, it'll take care of you. Your back should be no exception. Presenting Sealy's most advanced Posturepedic ever for the back support you need. Only Sealy has a patented sensory arm that senses and cushions your movement, then responds to your weight with increasing support, correct support. In the foundation, only Sealy has these patented steel beams, not wood. Help take care of yourself with Posturepedic support, only from Sealy.
What does it feel like in the new club world, tilting cradle feet? What does it feel like to go through Club World Fast Track Arrivals in London?
Wouldn't a weekend in Hawaii be nice? Swing over to Paradise as golf's best shoot it out in the United Airlines Hawaiian Open, February 17th, here on ABC Sports.
A little wide world of sports action here. Surfing championships taking place. Amateur surfing championships somewhere on the island today.
Banzai Pipeline, that wasn't.
Yeah.
covered those, haven't you?
Yes, sir. You have too.
Everyone on their way up on Wide World gets to cover some surfing.
You bet. Have you ever tried it?
Oh, yeah.
You've tried to surf?
No, I lived on the beach in California when I was growing up. I did a lot of surfing.
I'm stuck in the boogie boards.
I need a surfboard about 6 feet wide.
Jim Harbaugh is the quarterback. And on first down, he hands the ball off to Curtis Martin. And so Harbaugh of the Indianapolis Colts, who led the league in pass rating. And when the season began, there was a lot of thought that Craig Erickson would be the guy and that Erickson would develop into a top quarterback. And the next thing you know, Harbaugh got the opportunity. And he led Ted Marchibroda's team right into the AFC Championship game. And they were a mini miracle away from being in Tempe last Sunday. Lindy Infante, the offensive coordinator of that team and the former head coach of the Packers.
And has been out of football for 3 years before he came back to take over the offensive coordinator job for Teddy. Did a great job.
2nd and 11. It'll be 3rd down and 11 right now, intended for Glenn Milburn. Right after the gun that ends the first half, we're going to take a look at that $1 million kick, Hershey's $1 million kick. If Michael Volino, the New York City policeman, can bang one through from 35 yards, he will win $1 million. Jimmy Johnson is down in Florida, and we'll be speaking with the new coach of the Dolphins. He will be with us live from Florida. Brent Musburger, of course, will be along at halftime to host it. And the Doobie Brothers are going to perform as well, coming up at the half. As Harbaugh with flags down all over the joint, sends it up to the 23-yard line. And Tom White says, hold everything.
One of those things, Dan, where you hope you're not holding in the end zone if you're an offensive lineman. They were perilously close to that.
The flags may have come down before that play got started. You're right. That's not a good thing to get called for penalty in your own end zone.
Offside. Number 98, defense. The penalty is declined. Result of play, first down.
Eric Swan.
And Eric Swan might be at the top of that free agent list of players. In fact, the Cardinals, many people think, have the two most sought after of the free agents, and Eric Swan and Aeneas Williams. Swan, an impact player at the line of scrimmage, and the Cardinals have to come up with big dollars to keep him.
24-yard line. It's Glenn Milburn picking up about 4. 2nd down and 6. We talked about the mini miracle that they came up a little short of in Pittsburgh 3 weeks ago, and Jim Harbaugh on a play that would have won the game and was so close, and nobody really knew exactly what had happened until the replay was broken down and slowed down, and the Hail Mary in the end zone that would have sent Indianapolis to the Super Bowl, but Bailey could not cradle it in. Hit the turf, and thus the Steelers wind up going up against the Cowboys.
One of those great calls, too, that we don't talk about too much.
Tim Brown makes the catch.
You know, you think about how far Jim Harbaugh has come from that quarterback that we saw, I think, in a Monday night game in Los Angeles against the Rams when he was just getting started with the Chicago Bears, and rough around the edges. You could see the competitive instincts, always good run, extremely mobile, and it's just been a pleasure to watch him grow and become just such a proficient NFL quarterback and find himself in a Pro Bowl. When you have a touchdown to interception ratio like he did last season, 17 touchdowns, only 5 interceptions. That's a man who knows how to control his play.
And a man who is a free agent, 3rd down and 4. So Ritter Harbaugh, who has it picked off by Ken Harvey of Washington. Dan, what did you say?
I give up.
All right.
I give up. That's it.
No flags.
That will go down as one of the worst pieces of timing ever. That's it.
What was that ratio again?
It's 17 to 6.
Yeah, maybe he was fooled by the helmet or something.
Oh, way to go, Jim.
He's upset, but what a great year he had. He took over for Teddy Marchibroda in the 3rd game and directed the Indianapolis Colts all the way to within a Hail Mary of going to the Super Bowl. And like all competitors, he'd love to have this one back. I don't think he ever had any idea that Harvey was going to be there.
He's trying to go to Steve Tasker, who's predominantly a special teams player, but that time was in playing wide receiver. And now Harvey has excellent range. Ken Harvey can cover a lot of ground, and he came from the middle.
Where he
and you're right, he didn't see him coming, but wow, I didn't see it coming either.
Morton Anderson with the extra point to make it 17-7. With 3:40 to go in the first half.
That's right. Stay tuned. Who will I set up for a disaster next?
You're about to be sued by 26 people. Allstate defends over 50,000 people every year. Who's your insurance company? Being in good hands is the only place to be.
With my itchy dandruff, I said I'd try it. Denerex tingles. Head & Shoulders doesn't.
Both have effective dandruff medicine, but Denerex has something extra that tingles, feels fresh.
That's why I started using Denerex. The flakes, the itch, gone.
Denerex, the serious dandruff shampoo.
I don't need some fancy cologne to tell me I'm a man. I use Skin Bracer. It smells great, but it also cools and tones my skin. Confidence is very sexy, don't you think?
Original and cooling blue.
By Menon.
There are a lot of compelling reasons for buying a Dodge Ram. A potent line of Magnum engines, the most available towing of any pickup, payload capacity of up to 2.5 tons. But perhaps the weightiest argument is this. Dodge Ram has higher resale than Ford, Chevy, or GMC. The rules have indeed changed.
A Good Morning America vacation you won't want to miss. From daredevil thrills to behind the scenes with the rich and famous, it's glamour, it's glitz, it's Good Morning America in Aspen this week.
Register. Ken Harvey of the Washington Redskins intercepting that Harbaugh pass. Ken Harvey with the Cardinals for a number of seasons and just completed his second year for Norv Turner in the nation's capital. 17-7. And let's see on top, Morton Anderson sends one down toward the end zone and fielded a couple of yards deep by Glenn Milburn. And the former Stanford star brings it up to the 24-yard line. And let's check in with Swanee.
Well, Al, you know, I find this very surprising, but Ken, tell the guys what you just told me.
This is my first career interception. It's first time, and you can't think of a better place to do it in.
Well, what were you looking at? I mean, how'd you get the read so well?
Well, it was just a drop, you know. I dropped, I was looking for somebody around me, and I saw the ball come, just tried to break on it. And after that, because it's my first catch, I was just praying to God I caught it, man. And shoot for the end zone.
You still have the football?
No, you know, I'm so happy I threw it away, man. I'll get something, man. I'll make something. I'll get something painted.
All right, Ken, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Bye. And let's get a word from Leslie Visser.
Al, it's possible that I'm with a $1 million man, Michael Valino, who will try to attempt a field goal today. Michael, how much experience have you had?
Not a whole lot. Just a short amount of kicking over the last couple of weeks.
Well, what's the longest you've completed?
I've kicked from about about 32 yards so far. So.
Are you a little nervous right now?
Yeah, of course.
You had some help. Jason Elam was showing you some technique?
Yes.
And what was his best advice?
Keep your eye on that ball, you know, and show me where to kick it. So I'm going to give it my best shot today.
Well, you're getting a little bit of advice from your wife. What did she tell you?
No, she hasn't given me any advice on it. Just encouragement.
Okay, well, good luck to you. Back to you, Al.
Okay, thank you, Leslie. As
Michael's not exactly radiating confidence, is he?
You know, he's going to kick straight away, too. My understanding is that, I don't know how Elam can help him. He's going to kick straight away. It's much easier. There is Mrs. Valino.
Well, $10,000 even if he misses is a lot of kisses.
I think the thing we've got to watch now is to see if it gets airborne. he's a candidate for a dribbler, I think.
There was an offside on the initial kickoff, and this one is dropped in the end zone and down there by Milburn, and the AFC will take over down by 10 points at the 20-yard line.
I know for $1 million I'd hit a dribbler.
He went out to he had never kicked before, and he went out to the Jets camp after he found out about it, and his results there were not terribly encouraging. I think he made 1 out of 15.
In fact, for $1 million, I might pull a Charlie Brown and have a clean whip.
And of course, he was scheduled to go in to take his lieutenant's exam for the New York City Police Department. He overlooked that, and that means he goes back to the bottom of the list, and it could be he'll never have that opportunity again. So it's
I don't think that's
a tough decision. I don't think it is either. Mayor Giuliani ought to get into that.
Look at the publicity he's bringing the department in. Here's Harbaugh. Whoa! Hello.
Yeah, there's a flag. He's thrown. Jesse Tuggle. Jesse, it's February, not December.
Sometimes when you're a competitor, you just can't help it. You got one nature. That's all out.
Jerry Glanville loves you, Jesse. We never sat down with Jerry Glanville where he just did go on and on and on about Jesse Tuggle. And that is a late hit. That is a personal foul. That is all the bad things you associate with what you think that was. It was. But boy, he would go on and on about Jesse Tuggle. He's our leading tackler. He's the leader of this team. He doesn't get enough publicity. Well, Jesse, you've been in the Pro Bowl now for the 3rd time, and I think the word is out. You are one fine inside linebacker.
Leading tackler year in and year out, only 5'11", 230, but a tough little competitor. Just couldn't pull the brakes on.
Kevin Green, still small haircut as Tuggle makes the tackle there. Flag goes down.
We got a major face mask by one of the offensive linemen for the AFC. I don't know if it's
a year decapitation.
It was a full-blown tackle. I thought he got the face mask. Let's see if Tom White thinks so.
Holding. Number 68, offense, 10 yards. Penalty is declined. 2nd down.
Well, they're just going to call holding on Will Shields, but it was a full spin around.
It'll be 2nd and 14. 2.5 to go in the half. The NFC on top 17-7.
3 wide receivers for the AFC.
Harbaugh. In time, finding the wide open man, Anthony Miller of Denver, and he's banged out of bounds after he picks up the 1st down at the 46-yard line by Tim McDonald of the 49ers. A 19-yard gain.
Well, that no blitz rule, it keeps a quarterback alive for a long time, and you cannot go with a nickel defense. So 2nd and long, 3rd and long, the quarterback really has an advantage under these rules. He can bounce around, he gets away from the first tackle, and he can bounce around until somebody uncovers, and that's what happened right there.
And if you're a Dan Marino or someone of that nature, you're really not going to be able to take advantage of it. But with guys like Favre and Harbaugh, and we still to see Steve Young and people like that, mobility is one of their best assets, and you're right, they're going to take tremendous advantage of that.
Well, give Anthony Miller a lot of credit. He was reading right with Harbaugh and kept himself alive. Got himself a good angle for Harbaugh, and they come up with the 1st down.
They rolled right through the 2-minute warning. Hawaii time, down to 1:55. They'll reset the clock. Yeah. 2 minutes to go in the 1st half in Honolulu in the Pro Bowl, where the NFC leads by 10.
Invaders from space are coming to attack your home. Fight back now with pink insulation from Owens Corning. Conquer brutal heat in the summer, chilling cold in the winter, and a barrage of noise all year long. So keep comfort and quiet in, and those pesky invaders out with Owens Corning. Building performance that's right at home. For details on our NHL jacket offer, call 1-800-GET-PINK.
Dr. David Crane thought he'd never solve his wife's murder until he found a way to relive her final moments.
So you've really transferred memory?
Yeah, and lab rats.
I'd be willing to try it.
Now, he will be the first.
I mean, if somebody finds out about this,
I can keep a secret, can you?
To journey into a new world. Unforgettable. Rated R. Starts Friday, February 23rd.
1874, the first transatlantic cable connecting Ireland and America. It was made by Siemens. That was then. This is now. Today, phone companies and businesses use Siemens switches to send and receive voices, images, and data together for desktop video conferencing, wireless communications, and high-speed internet access. Siemens technologies keep you in touch and on top. Siemens. Precision thinking.
back in Honolulu. Al Michaels with Frank Gifford, Dan Deerdorf, Lynn Swan, and Leslie Visser for the Pro Bowl. 2 minutes to go in the first half, 17-7. The NFC on top and the AFC first and 10 at the National Conference 46-yard line. Steve Tasker slid wide to the right. Tasker saw a lot of action as a wideout this year after Andre Reed got hurt at Buffalo. And Harbaugh comes back this way and throws, and it is picked off at the 15 by Darren Woodson, the safety of the Dallas Cowboys, another of the free agents. One free agent intercepting the other. Tim Brown was the intended receiver, and Darren Woodson, the great safety for Dallas, steps in front of him and brings it back to the 40.
Oh, an athletic interception it was, too. He went up and came down with it. And Darren really known as a great run support guy. He dropped in the hole here. Read it beautifully. Up he goes, and Brown had a chance to try to rip it out. Woodson came down with it. That's a terrific effort. Full concentration. Saw his eyes right on the football, watching it right into the hands. Harbaugh really had enough time, and it was Woodson just roaming like a center fielder, reading Harbaugh. Catches it again.
Yes, you know, every time I look at that, he keeps coming down with it. No, it's beautifully played by Darren Woodson. You and I are in Craig Janoff's doghouse right now. Craig, our director for so many years, Kenny Wolf, our producer. Nice to have the gang here to wrap things up here for 1995/96. The NFL's, what, 76th season.
Right.
Will be over after tonight.
All right. And we'll kick-start it again in late July as you look at Leslie O'Neal and Dan Deerdorf and his class go into the Hall of Fame. And the Hall of Fame game will feature the Indianapolis Colts against the New Orleans Saints. And the question is Ted Marchibroda going to be back as the coach of the Colts? We talked about Ted before. And
will Jim Harbaugh be back as the quarterback?
Will Harbaugh be back? Ted, I mentioned before his son negotiating his contract. He said he gave his father just one bit of advice today. He said, don't eat hot dogs on the sideline.
Oh, now there you go. All the Dallas people are going to be mad.
No, Barry doesn't mind. Craig Hayward takes it up to the 49-yard line. Switzer ate a hot dog on the sideline here last year at the Pro Bowl, but there he was holding the Super Bowl trophy aloft last week.
Well, Barry has had a hard year. He had a hard time doing anything right. You go back and think of the 2 fourth down attempts. He was excoriated for that. And, you know, his own teammates, they didn't think much about it.
Well, you notice that we didn't make much of a fuss about the hot dog. You know, we certainly have our share in the booth.
Neil Smith.
Oh, there we go. See?
Yes, sir. Neil Smith banging one out of the park as he sacks Young. I think that guy was munching on a Manapua.
Yeah, the old Al. Sure used to enjoy those things, Frank. Remember the old Al?
Oh, no.
Now I eat fat-free Manapuas.
Believe what I heard a moment ago. Are there any bananas? Give me a break.
Yes, we have no bananas. Third down and 8 is Young. Flips one, and it's caught by Ironhead Hayward, who's off to the races to the 30-yard line. Ironhead replacing Larry Centers earlier this week and rambling and rumbling to the 30.
Doing what Larry Centers does so well, a receiver. Larry with 101 receptions on the year and had to go leave the Pro Bowl. He was ill.
Well, you see what the mobility of Steve Young buys you, but then watch this. Something we've always known, that Ironhead is pretty light on his feet. Ironhead, now watch this. Let's get the vertical leap. I'd say 14, 16 inches. What do you think?
And earthquake proportions when he came down. That was about a 5'7" on.
Yep. Ironhead much smaller than he used to be, but he's still a solid chunk of man out there in the fullback's uniform. He's probably a smooth 250 today, I would think.
June Jones got a lot out of Craig when he came down. He told him what he had to do, where he had to keep the weight, and he wound up with his best year ever, his 8th season, his first Pro Bowl, even as a replacement. Over 1,000 yards rushing. He'd never been up to 700 rushing.
If you said to Craig Hayward, how much do you weigh? He'd be telling the truth if he said, I don't know, 100 less than Nate. Nate, I bet, is smoothing in today at maybe about 3.5, you think?
324 in your program.
Big Nate probably on his way to 400.
Steve Young, meanwhile, with a little cut on the bridge of his nose. Jim Harbaugh reflecting on those 2 interceptions. And the NFC up by 10 and looking for more with 46 ticks left and 1 timeout at their disposal. 1st and 10 at the 30-yard line. Emmitt Smith winds up in the slot. And Young looks the other way and looks for Rice, and it's incomplete. Lewis covering on the play. It'll be 2nd down and 10.
Well, Steve Young looks like he's hurting again. At the conclusion of that play, he looked like he was walking a little funny.
Does he look like his back might be hurting?
Yeah.
Well, Steve had shoulder surgery, as we called, during the season. Was able to bounce back from that, and he was really beaten up in the divisional playoff game against Green Bay. Rice split to the left on 2nd down and 10. Young throws, and it's dropped at the 22-yard line by Ricky Waters, who was shadowed by Brian Cox. Mike Holmgren was Young's position coach in college. Mike, on his way up to the NFL, was the quarterback's coach at Brigham Young when Steve Young was playing for the Cougars back in the early 80s.
Of course, later had him as an offensive coordinator with the 49ers before Mike went off to Green Bay.
Well, and a lot of people thought that was going to give the NFC a real advantage offensively here because of the fact that Holmgren is head coach. Favre and Young, both quarterbacks familiar with that style of offense. Ricky Waters is a running back right in there. And just imagine what's going through his mind right now, the $1 million shootout coming up.
Jerry Rice makes the catch, and he's out of bounds after picking up the 1st down at the 17. Just imagine what's going through Mrs. Volino's head right now.
You know, I bet for 50%.
Probably a divorce if he misses.
I bet for about a 50% take he could get Morton Anderson to put on that T-shirt and go over there and paint a little mustache on.
Yep. Rosina.
Yeah. Well, just keep the good attitude. Have fun and enjoy it.
They live in Levittown, and Rosina's wondering if they'll be in Scarsdale tomorrow. 1st and 10 at the 17-yard line.
Mark will still be here tomorrow.
And that juggled and not caught. Incomplete. It looked like he was going to come down with it. Shimura had a chance, and then Blaine Bishop got a hand in there, and it's incomplete.
They never could control it.
He didn't have it, then he had it, then he didn't have it. How's that for some expert analysis?
This color is called purple.
That's an Emmy. There's the not having it. There's the having it. And there's the not having it.
Sounds vaguely familiar.
It does.
Oh, don't do that to me.
Well, I'm still imagining you on a surfboard.
I'm telling you. 6 feet wide and an Evinrude on the back. Hang 10. That's 10 horsepower, not 10 toes.
2nd and 10 as Young guns it to the and too high for Jerry Rice, and Blaine Bishop pops him.
I'll tell you, a regular season game, Jerry Rice catches that ball. Pro Bowl, you're looking for Blaine Bishop.
Yeah, but that is the essence of Jerry Rice. That is a ferocious hit, and he gets right up, walks back to the huddle. No prima donna here, Jerry Rice.
You'll never hear him complain.
Never complain.
The guy's never missed a game because of an injury. That's the most remarkable part about Jerry Rice to me. Well, it isn't either. Quite frankly, I can't believe his numbers. But 11 years, never having missed a game. He works harder than any 49er. He's an inspiration to any rookie who comes up. They just try to stay up with him.
They took him out. He didn't need to come out. He's rattled, but he's still there.
Tough man.
Mark Tuinei right there, normally the left tackle of the Dallas Cowboys. Because of Pro Bowl, have to move around a little bit. He's over on the right side.
Hometown boy, too.
Well, imagine how exciting this is for Mark. This his 2nd Pro Bowl, but played high school ball, grew up right here in Honolulu.
Punahou High School, was it?
Talk about you can come home again. That's happening for Mark Tuinei.
Jason Elam, he also played for the University of Hawaii.
Yeah, Elam wants to make his home here. Elam's training to be a commercial pilot someday. 3rd down and 15 from the 22-yard line. And Steve Young throws, and it is caught at the 7-yard line. A wonderful job turned in by Carter to toe dance that sideline and make the catch and haul it in, and the clock stops with 12 seconds left.
Certainly positioned the NFC if they didn't get the first down, and they did get the first down.
What a job at delivering the ball by Young. He's falling backwards as he has to throw this, and then let's watch the feet of Chris Carter.
Oh, yeah.
There's the left, and look at him drag the right. Oh, that's pretty. Drag that right toe along the ground. Possession of the ball, one hands it. Boy, that's sweet.
1st and goal now from the 6-yard line. Steve Young looking for 6 more, has it deflected and incomplete. And the clock down to 8 seconds.
Was that O'Neal that got that? Leslie was over on that side.
Leslie of the Chargers, but not for long. San Diego has indicated that they are not interested in re-signing him, and so that free agent will wind up elsewhere next year.
I think at 17-7, the NFC is going to go for it. Let's pick up the deflection right here.
Oh, it's on the inside. Looks like Cortez Kennedy or McLaughlin, one of those two guys on the inside got it.
No field goal, even with 8 seconds remaining.
Anderson started out on the field. They have 1 timeout left, so Young can take 1 shot at the end zone. Trying to pick up the touchdown, and he's under pressure, and he slings it into the end zone, and that's incomplete, but the clock stops with 2 seconds left. Sally Amua had him, and now they'll try to tack on 3 more off Morton's foot.
Good move by Steve Young to get rid of that football and save the 2 seconds so they could get the field goal unit in. Good job, Pete.
That's Vince Tobin right there, congratulating his group.
Yep.
The man loves to play.
Vince among those interviewed by Bill Bidwell this week, conceivably could be the next coach of the Arizona Cardinals.
I would suspect that a decision will be forthcoming next week as far as the Arizona Cardinals are concerned.
Here's Anderson now, and chip shot from 24 yards is good as the half ends. And the NFC will go off the field with a 20-7 lead, and stick around because in just a couple of moments, one Michael Volino is going to attempt a 35-yard field goal for $1 million, and we're going to be on the PA telling the folks about it here at Aloha Stadium as they get the field cleared, and Volino's about ready to come on out.
I imagine it'll be hard for Michael to make himself walk out onto the field. I would think that he's a little stiff right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, don't leave your seats.
Well, ladies and gentlemen,
In just a moment, we will be joined by ABC's Al Michaels and Vince Vaughn and Michael Volino of the New York City Police Sergeant, who will attempt the Hershey's $1 million kick.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, to open today's Pro Bowl halftime, the NFL is proud to present the ultimate kicking competition. It's the Hershey's $1 million kick. In just a moment, Michael Volino, a New York City police sergeant who won a national promotion sponsored by Hershey Chocolate, will attempt to kick a 35-yard field goal. If he makes it, he'll win $1 million. And joining him on the field representing Hershey is Bill Stamey. Referee Tom White ready to give him the football. You can't blame the holder here. He's going to kick it off a tee. Good luck.
A couple of weeks ago, Mike had never kicked the ball. He's been working with the Jets. Jason Elam while he's been here at the Pro Bowl. Good luck to you, Mike.
Mike, you never had so many people in your corner. This is your moment in the sun. Make the most of it.
It's just a 2. Goes into the end zone, but still $10,000 coming to Michael and Mrs. Volino. And let's get a word now from Lynn Swan and Michael Volino.
Well, Michael, you were the one out of 125,000 people that had the opportunity. I'm sure everyone would like to know what was going through your mind just before you took that kick for $1 million.
It was a little harder to concentrate than I thought it would be out here. It was a little tough with the crowd.
I don't know how big a football fan you are, but I guess you have newfound respect for a kicker coming in, trying to win a game at the last second.
Yeah, I certainly do.
Well, thank you. We hope you certainly get a chance, Sergeant Volino, to have a shot at being a lieutenant or captain, get back to New York and take that exam.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right.
Another look at the reaction of Mrs. Volino as the kick comes up short, but $10,000 for Mike Volino. And we'll return with ABC Sports coverage of the AFC-NFC Pro Bowl after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Give me a break. Give me a break. Break me off a piece of that Kit Kat bar. Give me a break. Give me a break. Break me off a piece of that Kit Kat bar. Chocolate Christmas taste is fine. Make your day. That's why wherever you go, hear the people say, give me a break. Give me a break. Break me off a piece of that Kit Kat bar. All right, yeah.
Premiering Monday. Being a parent isn't easy, but then neither is having one. ABC presents TV you can feel good about. Second Noah, premiering Monday on ABC.
Thursday, it's an all-new hour of comedy. First, Dave Coulier and Ava LaRue serve up some global guffaws. Somebody got a mop? World's funniest videos.
But it is exciting.
Then it's today's TV stars.
Oh, you're really good.
Tomorrow's movie legends.
And a lovely lady.
Scott Baio's got 'em on the all-new Before There Were Stars, Thursday on ABC.
I got a plan for tonight, and the plan is to have no plan at all. Maybe I'll send my left brain on vacation for a while. Maybe I'll let my soul be the boss. Maybe I'll stay out a little late. Maybe I'll stay out a lot late. Maybe I'll go to a party uninvited and dance with every woman in the place without touching the floor once. Maybe I'll go to a city that never sleeps, and maybe I'll put it to bed. What are you gonna do? Olsen Ice, step outside.
You never know when you'll come face to face with a regular-looking phone wired to a no-name company. Will you and your card be rejected? We're sorry. How can you be sure you'll get AT&T? Know the code. Dial 1-800-CALL-ATT.
You can use the code for all your card calls across the country or across town. 1-800-CALL-ATT. Dial it for every call you make when you're away from home.
And you'll never worry about no-name phone company charges again.
That's your true choice. AT&T.
Who's really flying the plane? A special report at 11 tonight.
The Toyota Halftime Report. Brought to you by Toyota and their full line of quality cars and trucks. Toyota, I love what you do for me. Here now, Brent Musburger.
Welcome back to the Pro Bowl, everybody, with the NFC, a loser a year ago, leading the AFC this year, 20-7. Welcome, everybody. I'm Brent Musburger. Consider for a moment all the major changes in the National Football League since the Pro Bowl was played a year ago. 5 teams have either moved or announced that they are moving, and player free agency is about to explode. Meanwhile, down in South Florida, a coaching legend, Don Shula, has been replaced by Jimmy Johnson. He's live right now with Al Michaels. Let's go to Al.
Well, thank you, Brent. Jimmy Johnson does join us now from Tavernier, Florida. And, of course, the biggest story during the offseason, Jimmy becoming the head coach of the Miami Dolphins as Don Shula's 26-year run ended. Jimmy, first off, could you have been satisfied in television? You did a great job at Fox and at HBO for 2 years. Would that have been satisfying enough, or is coaching so ingrained in your blood that you had to get back sooner or later?
Well, Al, obviously I miss the competition. I miss being on the sideline, and especially here in South Florida. I think Had it been any other place, I probably would have stayed in television. But when the opportunity came open here at Miami, I said, I've got to do it.
Jimmy, what do you have to do along with your staff between now and the opening of preseason to make the Miami Dolphins a legitimate Super Bowl contender next season?
I think the biggest thing is we've got to evaluate the personnel that we have on board right now. We've got to make some decisions on some free agents. We've got to decide whether or not we're going to keep them. And then on top of that, we've got to do an outstanding job of drafting players, because with the way our salary cap is right now, we're not going to be able to go out and get many free agents.
Jimmy, how do you perceive the relationship developing and the role that Don Shula will have, and what do you hope will happen in terms of Don's future role with the Dolphins and his interaction with you? How will that work out?
Well, I talked to Don right when I was accepting the job, and I told him that I'd like to have his input because, you know, he knows the Miami Dolphin organization, and he can give me some positive input there. So, you know, I look forward to working with Don. He's not in the office. He is not going to be working with the Dolphins on a day-to-day basis, but by the same token, he is on the board with Wayne Huizenga, and so he will be able to interact on an occasional basis.
Jimmy, every football fan in America knows the upside of Brian Cox, and they also have seen the downside of Brian Cox. He is a free agent. Will you and the Dolphins make a serious attempt to re-sign linebacker Brian Cox?
Well, there's no doubt in my mind that he can help our football team win. The biggest problem I have right now is he's going to command a big salary from a lot of different teams. Whether or not he can fit into our salary structure, I don't know right now.
What was the first thing you thought of, Jimmy, when you took the job and you knew on the schedule sometime next season, we don't know exactly when, won't until the schedule comes out, the Dolphins play the Dallas Cowboys?
Well, yeah, of course, that'll be an exciting game for me. I look forward to it. They've got a great football team, and we both, you know, we've got not only the Dallas Cowboys at home there at Joe Robbie, we've also got the Pittsburgh Steelers. So we've got a difficult schedule, but I look forward to it.
Welcome back, Jimmy. Thanks a million, and I'm sure we'll see you a couple of times next year.
All right, Al.
Jimmy Johnson joining us from Florida. Let's go to Brent Musburger.
All right, Al, thank you. And we're going to continue here at halftime. We'll hear from the Doobie Brothers, and also Peter King of Sports Illustrated will be along, and he'll have some scoops regarding some free agents. Stay tuned.
Because someday you'll get that big promotion that moves you to Seattle. Someday kids will be in the picture. And someday you'll get away to write the great American novel. It'll happen. That's why we've spent 28 years constantly improving the Corolla. So wherever life takes you, we'll be there. The newly restyled Toyota Corolla. We're looking forward to tomorrow.
Tuesday.
Da-da-da-da!
A trip down memory lane takes a wrong turn.
Why would you take Mrs. Tuttle? Tuttle asked for it, so I smoked her.
Roseanne, then. Tim Conway's a gardener with a brown thumb.
Shouldn't even be called a gardener. He's the anti-gardener.
Coach, Tuesday.
Halftime at the Pro Bowl this year features the Doobie Brothers, a group which spans 3 decades. Their theme is a familiar song, so folks, let's listen to the music.
Welcome, the Doobie Brothers!
Woo! Yeah, baby.
Sing along with it!
big fan of the Doobie Brothers, someone who grew up with them. It must be Peter King. And, you know, Peter, we're going to have to change the subject quickly here because this is really a league in flux right now. There's an owners meeting, all these franchises on the move. What do you think is going to happen in Chicago next week?
Well, Brent, on Friday, the owners meeting, it's the most important owners meeting in a long time. They're going to discuss the move of Seattle to Anaheim, playing in Pasadena this year. The NFL is going to fight this very hard. Very simple reason. They don't want to lose control of the Los Angeles market. That's what this would do. The more immediate concern, Brent, is the Cleveland situation. What you're seeing now is the NFL going to have intense negotiations this week with Mayor Michael White in Cleveland. This is one possible compromise, but there's one other one they're working on. Both compromises would include teams in both Cleveland and Baltimore.
You know, I want to talk now about player free agency because as most of the folks watching realize, this is the richest list ever. Let us start with the Cardinals. Eric Swan, Dan Dordo mentioned him, and he'll probably be a franchise transition free agent. And what about their defensive back, Aeneas Williams?
Well, he's really risen to the top this year, Brent. The crop is so strong this year, free agency, that Super Bowl MVP Larry Brown is no higher than the 6th rated corner. I think this year's Bryce Paup is going to be Aeneas Williams. The number 2 guy on the list, Jim Harbaugh, is rising very high. You got huge offers coming from the Rams and the Colts.
Now, Brian Cox, we heard his coach say they're going to go out after him. Do you think Cox will wind up with the Dolphins?
Absolutely not. The Miami Dolphins will not sign Brian Cox. They don't have the cap money. Look for the San Diego Chargers to make a hard push to pair Brian Cox with Junior Seau.
Now, Neil O'Donnell is on your list, and how far did his stock fall in Arizona?
Brent, he's lost value, but not precipitously. I think the thing to look for now with Neil is that he may be reunited with his offensive coordinator, Ron Erhardt, who was fired this week by Pittsburgh. Look for Erhardt, who had his 3rd interview today with Rich Kotite of the Jets. I talked to Ron earlier. I think he's going to choose the Jets offensive coordinator's job over Tampa.
Now, let's switch to Jeff George down in Atlanta. He is not technically yet a free agent, but is he talking about leaving the Falcons?
Brent, I don't know what's going through Jeff George's mind. This is a guy who's in the perfect offense for him, Atlanta. He's trying to force the Falcons to not declare him the franchise player so he can be a free agent.
Now, we heard Al in the first half talk about Vince Tobin, the defensive coordinator at Indianapolis, being a big candidate for the Arizona job. Is he the only candidate right now?
No. Vince Tobin's been interviewed twice, and the other 2-time interviewer is Ohio State coach John Cooper. I think one of those 2 guys is going to get the job.
I got to ask you, one other fella, this punter out of Australia in San Diego. Will the Chargers sign Darren Bennett?
Brent, real interesting. His contract is up, but the Chargers have the right of first refusal. Now, I asked him, what happens if you get a $600,000 offer somewhere? Does Bobby Beathard match? And that's the real key question. This guy's a punter like no guy I've ever seen before.
All I can say about the National Football League is stay tuned. And the second half of the Pro Bowl will be coming up in just a moment.
It has the highest ground clearance in its class. But more importantly, 1996's pickup truck of the year comes with 190 horses, all with big chips on their shoulders. Toyota Tacoma. You simply can't buy a more powerful compact truck.
The Toyota Halftime Report has been brought to you by Toyota and their full line of quality cars and trucks. Toyota, I love what you do for me. Stay tuned for the second half kickoff after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
Next, expect the unexpected.
I'm in control of this airplane.
This flight's taking you where you've never been before.
There are a lot of innocent people on this plane.
You're dead! Ali Sheedy headlines an all-star cast in the world premiere. Hijack Flight 285 next. Monday.
Does this rumor fly? It's coming out of the DA's office. You mean the rumor's true? Given Cross's lifestyle, I wouldn't rule it out.
A shocking secret is exposed.
You've been spreading an ugly rumor about me.
Murder 1, Monday, 10/9 Central on ABC.
Come to Georgetown, you'll be a big man on campus.
At Indiana, you'll be on national TV.
You get a great education.
A college degree.
And all the crunchy tacos you can eat.
Soft tacos.
Crunchy.
Soft.
Crunchy.
Soft.
Another double-decker taco, son?
Thanks, Coach.
Coach.
Now try the bacon double-decker tacos from Taco Bell. 2 new ways to bring soft and crunchy together for one big sizzling taste.
A little something for the road, boys?
Planning a trip to the North Pole this winter? Or perhaps Mount Everest? Then you'll be glad to know that the 1996 Lexus LS400 is available with traction control. And that you can lease one for just $699 per month for 36 months with only $1,949 down. So the first trip you plan should be to Meade Lexus Sterling Heights. Why? Because it's there.
Welcome to an Ameritech test town where folks continually test our stuff to make sure it's easy to use.
Call Barb.
Calling Barb.
Marge, hi. Can't talk now. Is so busy. Bye-bye.
Like Voice Select.
Call Betty.
Calling Betty.
Our new voice dial feature, it's as simple as saying your name.
Call Walt.
Marge, yeah, sure, I'm going to vote, but right now I'm busy. I gotta go.
I'll tell you, Eddie, this is one busy town.
Because if technology doesn't work for people, it doesn't work. Ameritech, your link to better communication.
Ways to help you and your kids survive a plane crash after the movie.
Channel 7 Detroit.
The AFC-NFC Pro Bowl on ABC Sports. Brought to you by the all-new Ford F-150. Strength after strength after strength. Hershey, the great American chocolate company. And Advil, advanced medicine for pain. No non-prescription pain reliever is proven to last longer than Advil.
And we're back in Honolulu for the start of the second half of the Pro Bowl. 20-7, the NFC on top. And we mentioned at the very top, of course, Dan Dierdorf voted into the Hall of Fame last week. And Dan, you've had a chance to talk to some of the guys who will be going in, the class of 5. And what have you taken back from your contact with them this week?
Well, first of all, Joe Gibbs, you win 3 Super Bowls with 3 different people. And then you take a look at the people like Mel Renfro and Charlie Joyner. They're just automatics in my mind. And you know what really pleases me is an older fellow like Lou Creekmer. Here's a guy that played for the Lions back in the 50s, from 50 to 59. The man is 69 years old and gets that call that you've finally been elected to the Hall of Fame. Frank, all of us, no matter what generation we played, if we don't have the respect for the guys who played before us, we're foolish. And I can't help but be thrilled for a guy like Lou Creekmer.
We were only caretakers of the game while we played. I wish I could get through some of the players' heads today, because there'll be a time when they don't play, and they should leave it better for the time that they played.
Well, these
you did, Dan.
Yep, these are the people that made it better for all of us, and I admire it.
Second half underway, and the kickoff is taken by Curtis Martin, who cuts in front of Glenn Milburn to run the kickback, and the New England rookie takes it back up to the 28-yard line.
One last Hall of Fame mention. A guy who really should be thrilled about what's happened is a man who's a kind of a common denominator with 3 of us, and that's Don Coryell. Don Coryell was my coach in St. Louis. He was Joe Gibbs' head coach. He actually brought Joe Gibbs into the National Football League, and of course he was Charlie Joyner's head coach with the San Diego Chargers. So Don Coryell directly linked to 3 of the 5 members of this Hall of Fame class. And
you got to get him off that lake in Canton, Ohio next summer.
We'll get him there.
First down at the 28-yard line. And Kimball Anders up to the 45-yard line. And Don, of course, also so instrumental in the careers of Dan Fouts and Kellen Winslow, 2 more Hall of Famers.
Imagine what it must be like to be a quarterback, a wide receiver, somehow involved in that passing game, and all of a sudden you find yourself playing for Don Coryell. Talk about a kid in a candy store. That's it.
It's a dream.
It's like being a broadcaster and finding himself in a booth with Alan Frank. It's that same feeling that washes over me whenever I think about it.
From the 45-yard line. It washes all right. This is Warren, and he fights his way for a first down, an 11-yard pickup, and Eric Davis takes him down. Chris Warren.
The new Deerdorf and humility and humble.
This is
groveling in front of his peers.
This is the Pro Bowl, guys. I'm just trying to find something to say.
I know you had a busy week and a lot of chance to prepare for today's game and going over the rosters and doing a little historic work. And
I was preparing for this game 8 seconds before we went on the air. It has been a busy week.
First down at the 43-yard line. Jim Harbaugh threw 2 interceptions in the first half. Deep drop under pressure and then throws it away. And again, we mentioned earlier, one of the rules in this game is that there cannot be intentional grounding. He was pressured by John Randall and just threw it away. 2nd and 10.
Harbaugh, very athletic quarterback, but so is Randall. Reverses his direction, and he's right there. Harbaugh has to get rid of it. I'm kind of surprised Charles Haley is seeing some more action. I talked to him yesterday about his 5 rings and possibly one ahead of him in the Hall of Fame, and he said, I'm going to play about 3 plays. Something comes my way, I'm out of there. Of course, he had back surgery just a few weeks ago, and one of the greats of all time in the '94.
On 2nd and 10.
Well, that's what he talked about.
But I'll tell you, nobody was going to get outside of Charles Haley.
Well, the Pacific Rim, maybe they could have perhaps had a chance. Charles, if you watched the Super Bowl game, you know he wasn't playing 100%, but he had his heart in it, and he just inspires everyone around him.
He's just playing a zone on the line, that's all.
But he's here. Give him credit. He's here. It would have been really easy for Charles Haley to mail this one in and say, I'm sorry, I'm too banged up, I can't play.
3rd and 8. Eric Swan jumped, and he's saying, not me.
Finger pointing now.
Ed Marchibroda once coached in a Pro Bowl before it was held here in Hawaii. It's been here for 17 years. He coached in the game in Tampa.
Prior to snap, number 76.
I played
offense,
in that
5 yards, 3rd down.
Eddie Marchibroda, we asked him if this was his greatest year, and he harkened back actually to his first go-around as a head coach with the Baltimore Colts when they were 12-2 in 1974, and he said 75 was the greatest year because we turned it around. We went 10-4 the following year. He certainly is a happy Ted Marchibroda with what happened this year.
3rd down and 13. Harbaugh, flag thrown. And Jim throws it away.
Probably a holding call against the AFC, and I'm not so sure that Charles Haley didn't draw it. That's the problem when you take a couple plays off and then you really you catch that guy by surprise.
Holding, number 77, offense. Penalty is declined, 4th down.
That's Richmond Webb, the left tackle of the AFC, and of course the great player from the Dolphins. But I think Charles lulled him to sleep. It's almost not fair to take a couple plays off and then have your next one full speed.
Well, here's Bennett, and unfortunately, he's at the opponent's 46-yard line, so he really can't boom one here. His kick's a 58, 54, and 64 yards.
You got to go for the uprights.
See if he can put some altitude on this one, though. No, going for the sideline.
Sets up to float one toward the corner. It bounces at the 5 and into the end zone. So 45 gross and 25 net. To go in the 3rd quarter in the Pro Bowl. The NFC up 20-7.
People keep asking me, how does it feel to be Steve Young? Frankly, it hurts. Give me my Advil. Nothing has shown me that works better on aching muscles, or proven that it lasts longer. Advil's the one.
For sore muscles, more doctors recommend Advil than any other pain reliever.
Nasty game.
Advil, advanced medicine for pain.
I love movies. Always have. Ever since I was a kid. That's why I got Prime Star. With 95 channels, I get old movies, new movies, all kinds of movies. All in digital picture and sound. But I didn't have to buy the dish either. With Prime Star, there is no equipment to buy. It's all a part of the service. It all starts for about $1 a day. Life's short. Enjoy.
Call 1-800-PRIME-STAR.
The job needs 4 guys now, and the guys need all their equipment. You're working harder than ever. You need a truck that does too. Meet the all-new 1997 Ford F-150, the only full-size pickup with a standard super cab third door, 60/40 split rear bench, and standard dual airbags, plus a taller cab for more hat and boot room than ever. After all, the guys aren't getting any smaller. The new Ford F-150. Strength after strength after strength.
12 minutes and 28 seconds remaining in the third quarter in beautiful Hawaii. The Pro Bowl, its permanent home. NFC on top, 20-7. The AFC touchdown scored by Yancey Thigpen, but he's out of the balance of the game with the turf toe injury as Young hits Ryan Mitchell for a gain of 4. And let's get an update from Lynn Swan. Lynn?
Thank you, Al. I'm with Charles Haley. Charles, 5 Super Bowl rings. That had to be the great motivating factor that caused you to play that game after back surgery.
It was a big factor. You know, I've been sitting around watching the guys play, and it was just eating me up inside. And if they had a chance to win the Super Bowl, I wanted to be a part of the factor, you know, because I don't want to win anything without being bad or participate in it.
Well, what about this next season? I mean, are you intending on coming back, or are you going to take some time to think about whether you'll continue playing professional football?
Well, I'm going to go and talk to the doctors and see what they think about if I play, whether I re-herniate my back or what the percentage of it. But, you know, we're going to just play it by ear.
Your defensive line coach went to Oklahoma there. The man I'm hearing out of Dallas is going to be his replacement as a part-time assistant, Craig Bowler. Well, him being named defensive line coach, would that be a factor in you coming back?
Well, you know, I didn't think the defensive coaches this year, the staff that they got in there, was doing any kind of way a good job at all anyway. So, you know, if they keep in-house, then that means that we're not going to get better up front. They need to go out and get a qualified guy to come in and try to teach some of these young guys, because, you know, the young guys are going to be the future. But, you know, but like always, they probably stay in-house and keep somebody there that's not really qualified to do the job, because, you know, don't too many people respect the defensive coaches we have anyway.
All right, Charles, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, Lynn. Well, Charles wins, no doubt, the Candor Award, and I'm sure Dave Campo's ears perked up, and John Blake, who's now the coach at Oklahoma and was the defensive line coach as well. As Charles lets you know how he felt about the situation in Dallas. Fiegel's kick fielded at the 25-yard line. And Glenn Milburn runs it back to the 41. And it was 4th down and 3. There's a flag down. Steve Atwater came charging in and may have drawn this flag.
Yeah, it'll be running into the kicker here by Atwater. And it doesn't really matter whether it's running into the kicker or it's roughing the kicker. The yardage is enough either way to make it an NFC first down. Charles in charge. Rocking the boat a little bit there.
Bring him back. I have a few more questions I'd like to ask him.
Charles has always been that way, though. He will speak his mind. From the beginning. This is a man who walks the walk, so he has a right to talk the talk. This guy gets it done.
There he is with the Reverend.
Yeah, there's a guy who's really upset by what he said.
Talking it over with Reggie White.
1st and 10 at the 32-yard line after the roughing call as the NFC retains possession. The catch is made here by Herman Moore up to the 44-yard line.
That was a good look off on the part of Steve Young before he came back. Just looked to the left. Secondary reacted. He gets the completion. A lot of subtleties to Steve Young. Of course, always the danger of taking off and running with it. As Al mentioned earlier, the first time in 5 years he hasn't been the leading passer in the NFL.
Well, the NFC is going to have trouble getting this playoff. Larry Allen just came out onto the field. They're down to 3 seconds on the play clock. Did Steve get his timeout in time? Yeah, I believe he did.
Yep. Timeout. NFC 9:46 left in the third. A 13-point lead for the National Conference.
You can look at other people's landscapes, or you can find your own.
You know, sometimes where the pavement ends is where the world begins.
We only went to 4-star restaurants until we found one with 4 billion stars.
Isn't it amazing how opening one door can open up so many others? Ford Explorer, because the world's too big to be left unexplored.
No trendy health club. No $60 shorts. No excuses. Speed Stick's no-nonsense formula gives you 110% protection. Like you, it never quits.
By Menon.
Eddie George, Heisman Trophy winner, you got a big future ahead of you, kid.
Reggie White?
You're going to be asked to endorse products.
You should contact the people who make Tylenol. Neil Smith? Extra strength. Because you could be on intimate terms with Tylenol. Ken Norton Jr.
From headaches to broken bones, doctors recommend Tylenol the most.
Oh, and Eddie, it's the pain reliever hospitals use most.
Hospitals?
Hospitals.
I don't need some fancy cologne to tell me I'm a man. I use Skin Bracer. It smells great, but it also cools and tones my skin. Confidence is very sexy, don't you think?
Original and cooling blue.
By Menon.
Georgia Tech faces North Carolina in the ACC, or UCLA meets Stanford in a Pac-10 battle. There's regional action on Payne Weber College Basketball Saturday on ABC.
Back at the Pro Bowl, well, Brian Mitchell said he would not be where he is today without the help and support of this woman. She's the NFL's Teacher of the Year, Carolyn Brown from Plaquemine, Louisiana. Brian's 9th grade teacher. Congratulations to you, Carolyn. This is an apple for the teacher. What kind of a student was Brian?
Brian probably was the most relentless student I've ever had. He was very challenging in the classroom because he always wanted to know. And I could always count on him to have a barrage of questions for me every day in class.
What do you think is the greatest challenge today facing educators in America?
I would think that the greatest challenge now is getting the parental support that we used to have. After having taught 30 years, I find that parents seem to have turned on teachers. And I'm excited about this award because it comes at a time when there's an all-time low in morale among teachers.
Well, if we had more like you and Brian, we'd be all set. Congratulations to you. Back to you, Al.
Thank you, Leslie. The crowd responding. Some guy came out onto the field and is being escorted off. And we saw Brian in maybe the shining moment of his career. He had a fantastic game against the Minnesota Vikings in an NFC wild card game. And in 1992, he did everything that day for Joe Gibbs and led them to a victory at the Metrodome.
Receiving, rushing, returning kicks, did it all.
And we even watched him a couple of times on Monday Night Football take over at quarterback.
Well, yeah, but that's out of necessity.
Right.
There were a couple games there where everyone in a Redskin uniform had been knocked out.
Young throws, and it's picked off by Dale Carter of the Kansas City Chiefs. There's a flag down, however, back up at the 48-yard line.
Well, that play got off to a bad start at the line of scrimmage. Somebody was offside, either offense or defense. Somebody moved prior, and this is, if it was the offense, it's a dead play. If it's against the defense, that's a big plus for the NFC. Al Conway, the umpire, confers with Tom White, the referee.
Offside. Right defensive end. Defense. 5 yards. Second down.
Break for the NFC.
Yep. Bruce Smith, you'll recall he missed the game against Pittsburgh in the playoffs because he had the flu and a 104-degree temperature that day. And talking to him before the game today, he said, you know, I'm still trying to put that weight back on. I lost a lot.
Well, we're going to look at Bruce Smith and what happens in these all-star games. And I played a bunch of these. You did too. You tend to get caught going on the same count over and over and over. You go on 3 and you forget you're doing it. Bruce will pick up on that, and I think that's what happened. He just jumped it.
2nd and 5, and Ricky Waters gets spun down by Neil Smith at the line of scrimmage. Behind, in fact, and the Kansas City Chiefs defensive end, who's been in the Pro Bowl every year but one in his career, along with Derek Thomas, the Chiefs linebacker, who has made the Pro Bowl now in each of his 7 seasons, the stalwarts of the Kansas City D. And the NFL mascot of the year is Donald Winrich, who's the Kansas City mascot.
Kinds of things happening over here in the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, there's Mr. Thomas. 3rd down and 9 now as Young throws, and it's incomplete. The pattern was broken off by Herman Moore, and it's 4th down.
At halftime, I talked to Mike Molino and his wife Rosina, and he said, by the way, he had heard from the city of New York, he had heard from the police department there, and he will be allowed to take his lieutenant's exam. So the New York's finest have risen to the top once again.
So this was before we made our little plea.
Well, I wasn't going to say that.
Oh, jeez. I thought maybe we had
he didn't say. No, he would have had. He said he just heard from them today, though.
Meanwhile, Steve Young not looking very well as he comes off the field. He is rattled, and he is hurt.
Remember, Young had shoulder surgery during the season on his throwing shoulder, the left shoulder. Jeff Fiegels sends one skyward, and a fair catch is called for and made by Glenn Milburn at the 13-yard line. So they look at Young with 8:11 to go, looking at his leg.
Right knee.
20-7 NFC.
Prime Star presents the prime player of the game. Pro football's biggest stage is the prime time for a player to shine. But it was a little-known cornerback who stole the spotlight and the ball for the boys.
Here's a pass in the flat, picked up by the Cowboys. Larry Brown may score.
Larry Brown's second interception of the game clinched the championship for Dallas and earned him MVP honors. The Cowboys' Larry Brown, the prime player of the game.
I got Prime Star because I love news and sitcoms and dramas and sports. I always wanted to play football. Oh. Maybe not. Okay, so I admit I love TV. And with Prime Star's 95 channels, I get it all in digital, picture, and sound. You want to know the best part? You don't have to buy the dish. Prime Star is a service. There's no equipment to buy. And it all starts at about $1 a day. Enjoy.
Call 1-800-PRIME-STAR.
The roads are getting rougher, and the chores are just getting tougher. You're working harder than ever. You need a truck that does, too. Meet the all-new 1997 Ford F-150. It throws an even longer shadow, with a wider stance and the largest V8 payload on the job. Plus an all-new suspension that loves abuse. After all, the ground's not getting any softer. The new Ford F-150. Strength after strength after strength.
Wednesday, dangerous drugs in America's meat supply. You can't smell them or taste them, but could your family be at risk? Primetime investigates Wednesday.
Now, Steve Young having that knee flexed just below the knee, it appears, the area they were working on the NFC bench. And the AFC, their defense resting right now is offensively. Bruce Smith and company watching Jim Harbaugh go to work here, and he hands the ball off to Curtis Martin for a minimal gain. You know, the Green Bay coaching staff is here, but they're minus one guy. Remember Gil Haskell, the wide receivers coach for Mike Holmgren, involved in that horrific collision and knocked out at Texas Stadium against the Cowboys that day about 3 weeks ago. Very happy to report. Talked to Gil today. He's coming along marvelously. In fact, he went to the office last week 4 times for 4 hours a day. He goes to rehab 3 times a week. He said to me today on the phone, he said, I don't feel any different than I did. I just get a little more tired, and he is prepared to go back to work full-time very shortly. Mike Holmgren will be checking with the doctors, but as the ball carrier Chris Warren picks up about 6, but he sounded great, guys. And his wife Nancy said the only problem we have is we live on a log cabin in a lake outside of Green Bay, and the cars are dead. We need food.
Well, and not many people were aware of how bad off Gil was immediately following that. He went to the hospital, and
and he was in desperate straits.
He was the running backs coach for 3 years and then moved over with the wide receivers. Mike Holmgren anticipates he'll be back with the team next year, and just very happy to report that, and the Cheeseheads all love it, that Gil Haskell appears to be on his way to a total recovery. Timeout has been called here by the AFC. 6:46 remaining in the third quarter.
You'd never seen anything like it, but you soon learned its name, a name that dominated the 80s. Now Ford Taurus lays claim to a new era with another revolutionary design, with outstanding performance, a roomier interior, and a penchant for quality, all leading to a familiar result. For the 4th straight year, Ford Taurus is the best-selling car in America. The new Ford Taurus, well equipped for just $19,390, picking up right where it left off.
Germs, they're in your mouth, living in plaque. Even your dentist can't see them. If you want to remove those germs, you've got to remove the plaque. And you can remove more with this. New Mint Sensation Advanced Formula Plaques. A minty, cool way to get germs where they live by removing more plaque before you brush. So you get clean, healthy-feeling teeth and gums. Even your dentist can see. Remove plaque and germs with new Mint Sensation Plaques.
Hold it. This isn't you, it's an older guy.
Oh, that was before I got rid of my gray hair with Just for Men hair coloring.
Come on, that's too natural to be hair coloring.
Just for Men. Apply and in 5 minutes rinse. Gray is blended away for a totally natural look.
Think it'll work for me?
In 5 minutes.
Just for Men looks too natural to be hair coloring. And now try Just for Men Color Gel for the hard-to-color hair of mustaches and beards. Brush in, rinse out. Just 5 minutes.
The thrill of victory. Our national champions star in special performances. It's a 50-car rental skating spectacular, Saturday on Wide World.
Back in the tropics. Site of the Pro Bowl. Beautiful Hawaii. One of the many waterfalls adorning our 50th state.
What island would that be on?
Probably Kauai. I would say that's a good possibility. One of the islands here that has a lot of the really lush vegetation and the big vertical waterfalls like that. Yep. Plenty of rain. On 3rd and 1, we've got Jim Harbaugh keeping it. Let's check in with Leslie Visser. Leslie?
Al, I'm with the man who will alphabetically precede Frank Gifford on the Hall of Fame roster, appropriate company, Joe Gibbs. Congratulations to you, Joe. You, of course, won the Super Bowl 3 times with 3 different quarterbacks. What made each one of them different and distinct?
Well, they were really good. I mean, everybody talks about that, and I said, hey, I had 3 great quarterbacks, really. They were different abilities, but all of them were great players. And that's what gets the coach there, is great players.
Well, only John Madden and Vince Lombardi have a higher winning percentage than you do. Is there a secret to consistency at such a high level?
I don't think so. I think, Leslie, for a coach, when he gets something like this honor that I got, it reflects the entire organization for that period of time. And I look at it, you got to have a great owner, great assistant coaches in front office. You got to have great fan support, which we had, and I think and great players. So I think it reflects a whole era. And if in the NFL, if you're weak in any one area, you're not going. And so I think it's an organization being able to capture every single aspect of that it takes from the top to the bottom.
Well, one of those great players you had was, of course, Dan Dierdorf. What kind of a lineman was he?
I tell you, Dan Dierdorf to me was one of the best drive blocking linemen I've ever seen. And the other thing, Charlie Joyner, I told both those guys, I jumped on their back, and they took me all the way to the Hall of Fame, so that's neat.
Well, everyone's in good company here. Congratulations to you, Joe. Back to you, Al.
All right, thank you, Leslie. Joe Gibbs. Had really great seasons with the Washington Redskins as the head coach.
What kind of coach was he?
I remember Joe when he came to St. Louis in 1973. He came from San Diego State with Don Coryell, and you could see it then. I don't think we saw the Hall of Fame right away. He didn't see it in me either at that time, I'll guarantee you. 3rd and 5, and Harbaugh slides to a halt after picking up the first down. Dan, what do you think? Do you think Joe will ever go back to coaching? I think Joe loves what he's doing now. And I think Joe only knows one way to coach, and that is to go back to the relentless sleep in the office for 4 or 5 days a week. And I don't know that Joe's ever going to be ready to take on that kind of a responsibility once again.
He loved that way.
Not to that degree. Joe Gibbs, I think, was a little bit obsessive about it. But look where it got him. Look where it got him. And I think Joe loves what he's doing so much. He is so personally involved with his racing team. No, I don't see it happening. I really don't. He's involved with his 2 sons in his racing business, and it really drives him.
I wish he'd become an owner.
He'd be good.
A classy guy.
He'd be good.
Steve Young with a knee bruise. The report from the bench, he could come back into the game, and Mike Holmgren perhaps discussing whether Steve should or wants to play anymore today. They have Warren Moon on the bench, and Brett Favre started the game, clearly is available as well. Harbaugh to Chris Warren, and Warren has no help at all.
If George Seifert can get through to the bench on a cellular, Steve Young will not be back in the game.
Do you think Joe Gibbs sleeps at the NBC studio?
I don't think so.
Don't you really?
They turn the heat off at night. 2nd and 10.
They serve good meals,
Pending the call. That's right. And there are a couple of 49ers, Young and Bart Oates, who...
I talked to Bart, by the way, yesterday. Of course, he's kind of up in the air what he is going to do next year. He is, of course, filling in for Ray Donaldson here, but he had to find season once again. He's getting that time. He has his law degree. He's working in a law firm in New Jersey, and he'll be going back there again and thinking it over, as he put it. Many great years with the Giants for going to the 49ers and hitting the lottery once again.
3rd and 13 at the 33-yard line. 3:10 to go in the 3rd quarter. Harbaugh throws, and it is caught by Carl Pickens of the Cincinnati Bengals up at the 47-yard line.
What a great pass. Harbaugh can put something on it when he has to. They continue to work on Steve Young's right knee. It looked as though it were a little below the knee.
If they had the speakers and the receivers in their helmets for this game, right now Steve Young would be receiving Carmen policy.
He would
saying, don't go back.
Or Seifert or Bill Walsh.
It'd be a long line. Yeah, Bill Walsh. What if he's got the new number?
1st and 10 from the 47-yard line, and it is Warren taking it to the 34-yard line.
That could be no one else. This is one of the great runners in football today, and lost a little bit because he didn't get the great national exposure playing for Seattle, but he is one of the great running backs ever come into this game. Dan, this is a man who really moves well in traffic.
He does. And look at the changes of direction. Of course, all backs in the league do that. But Chris brings such awesome power to the position. He's a big 225 pounds. He actually looks a lot bigger than that. And he doesn't actually, like you say, get the attention he probably deserves.
Kimball Anders picks up about 13. Kimball seeing a little bit more action today than he might have. We talked at the top about the fact Marshall Faulk has been hurt, so he only made a token appearance. But over the last 3 years, there it is. Emmett leading that chart and Sanders second. That would figure. And then right there in 3rd place, Mr. Warren.
And you wouldn't get a lot of people that would know that Chris Warren occupies that lofty a position. It's I don't think it's necessarily just because he's in Seattle, but for some reason, the shadows of Sanders and Smith and people like Thurman, it's so large, it almost blocks out everybody else.
1st and 10 at the 22-yard line. Harbaugh throwing. Anders makes the catch, and he turns the loss into a gain. Jesse Tuggle finally makes the stop after a gain of close to 6 with a minute and a half to go in the 3rd quarter, and the AFC trying to shave the advantage. The NFC leading 20-7.
Kimball Anders, we talked about him earlier, and Marty Schottenheimer saying early in the year that, or mid-season, that he was playing Pro Bowl football, and you saw a little bit of it there. He had 55 receptions for Kansas City. You saw a great block, if you were with us earlier, that he made to spring it back, and now you just saw his running ability.
That's where defense starts to get a little bit tired in a Pro Bowl game like this.
2nd down and 4, and Anders goes nowhere. Runs into White and Swan.
I should just stop. I should just stop right now. Well,
it's been a long week, Dan.
I'm sticking with it. I'm sticking with it. The defense is tired. Just because it doesn't mean they can't make a good play.
You played here. It's the third and fourth quarter. You have lost a lot of fluids. It's very warm, 80 degrees, about 60-degree humidity.
14th play of the drive coming up. They're on AstroTurf, which is a very hot surface when the sun is beating down on top of it. The temperature down there within 10 feet of that field is a good 20 to 30 degrees warmer than it is anywhere else in this stadium.
Harbaugh, third down, 5. And it's a touchdown. Curtis Martin makes a terrific catch in the corner of the end zone.
I think the exhaustion is just evident all over their faces.
Well thrown. Perfectly.
Beautiful.
The youngest man in the game at age 22, Curtis Martin of the New England Patriots. Great catch.
Pretty good coverage, wasn't it, by Tuggle?
Tuggle, who usually isn't deep downfield end coverage, he's only 5'11", but he was well positioned in front of Martin. This was just a beautifully thrown pass. Had to be right there, and it was.
And Tuggle never did get a chance to turn around and see the ball coming, so he didn't know. He wasn't able to make a play on it.
He didn't go down there either.
Whoa!
Oh, wow.
That was our New York City policeman, I
think. He's not going to win 10,000 for that, though. Elam misses, and that makes the advantage 7. NFC 20, AFC 13.
I don't need some fancy cologne to tell me I'm a man. I use Skin Bracer. It smells great, but it also cools and tones my skin. Confidence is very sexy, don't you think?
Original and cooling blue.
By Menon.
This Friday, Bad will be measured in megatons. Travolta, Slater, Broken Arrow, Rated R, starts Friday.
He's Tim Green, the former defensive star of the Atlanta Falcons.
When I was playing a few years ago, I was fortunate enough to nominate the first NFL Teacher of the Year, John Williams, my former high school science teacher, in a new program created by the NFL to give classroom teachers the recognition that they deserve. I am pleased to introduce the 1995 NFL Teacher of the Year, who was nominated by Brian Mitchell of the Washington Redskins. In making the nomination, Brian Mitchell said, "She was a great inspiration to me and was much more than just my 9th grade English teacher. And without her, I probably would not be where I am today." The NFL Teacher of the Year is Carolyn Rose Craig Brown, Plaquemine High School in Plaquemine, Louisiana. The players themselves nominate the teachers for this award. The NFL believes that players are not the only role models. Teachers can be role models too.
All right, coming up on the East Coast after the game, and at 9 o'clock on the West Coast, the world premiere movie, Ali Sheedy, Perry King, James Brolin, starring in Hijack, Flight 285, on the Sunday night movie After Football. As Elam, who misses the extra point, kicks off. Fielded at the 10-yard line by Barry Sanders. And he's banged down with no time left in the third quarter by Brian Cox up at the 22. And that's the end of 3 in Honolulu. NFC leading 20-13. And back we come with the final quarter of the football season. The Pro Bowl after this from our ABC stations.
Monday's amazing when you see an act of balancing on the tip of a knife, smashing a stack of bricks underwater, bending a steel bar with bare teeth, and a chainsaw juggler. All this and more, you'll say, wow! The most awesome acts on Earth, Monday at 9, 8 Central.
Wesley Snipes is a cop on the edge. Dennis Hopper's a killer with nothing to fear. And Lolita Davidovich is heating things up to the boiling point. Thursday on ABC.
Hi, everyone. Tonight on Action News, buying GM cars enters a new era. You may be surprised. And I'll show you how to survive a plane crash and the risks you may be taking with your kids. Hope you'll join us after the movie.
To introduce you to a more affordable way to go cellular.
Hello.
Ameritech will give you a free portable phone.
Great.
And monthly minutes.
Nice.
And great Ameritech service. All for just $19.95 a month.
That's it?
That's it. Just $19.95 for everything.
For everything?
Yep. Act now and get 10 hours of local airtime free. New Pickup and Go Cellular. The more affordable way to go cellular. Especially now. So what do you say?
Thanks.
Only from Ameritech. Your link to better communication.
When we bought our Saturn SL.
SC1?
SL2. I was so excited I couldn't sleep.
It was the first time I left the dealership
Without an upset stomach. Oh, totally.
They didn't try to steer me towards some $30,000 car.
They don't have one. Best of all, they
Didn't treat me like an idiot.
They did not ask me where my husband was. Hello, I'm the one buying the car.
They even let our dog in the showroom.
The 1996 Saturn SC1 with plenty of room for Fido.
It's a great buying experience.
Buying cars in cyberspace. The story after the movie.
Waikiki Beach, the world-famed beach, Honolulu.
Well, the people of the mainland and the east now must love this shot.
Yeah. Minnesota, too, huh? North Dakota. Deep freeze setting in all over the mainland, but in Hawaii it's been pretty spectacular this week as the teams have come over, enjoyed themselves immensely. And the off-season begins in another half hour or so as Steve Young, probably done for the day with that bruised knee, looks on. And Warren Moon, the 39-year-old ageless wonder, the oldest man in the game from the Minnesota Vikings, taking over here at the 21-yard line. Oldest non-kicker of the play in this game. And the fourth quarter commences. The NFC up by 7 with Moon finding nobody open and sliding to a halt with a flag down. And let's go to Lynn Swan. Lynn?
Reggie, one of the most miraculous comebacks in this year. Hamstring, people thought you couldn't play. There you were on the field all during the playoffs.
Yeah, you know, it's just a blessing from the Lord. And, you know, most people, some people think I'm crazy when I talk about healing, but it's obvious that my hamstring is torn, and yet God has given me the strength in my hamstring to be able to perform. And
I know you told Leslie O'Neal it was the Holy Ghost. He said, can you put that in my pocket?
No, I couldn't put it in his pocket. You have to have that relationship. That's where it lies.
I know you're an ordained minister. In Tennessee, the church you have was bombed. What's happening right now?
Well, right now, personally, I'm disappointed in how the investigation is going. I'm disappointed that investigators are pointing the finger at my pastor and his brother and people in the church instead of going out finding who really did this. And, you know, if the city of Knoxville and the police department hear me right now, I'm not happy with the way the investigation is going, because there's somebody that burnt that church up, and they're not trying to find it.
But Green Bay, the people in Green Bay, Wisconsin, have responded to you in a very tremendous fashion, haven't they?
Not just Green Bay, but the whole state of Wisconsin. And, you know, there are some excellent people up there, and I can honestly say I care about the people up in Wisconsin just as much as they care about me, and they've shown by sending close to over $200,000 in people from around the country. And, you know, it's just been a blessing.
You told me you're considering moving from Tennessee up to Wisconsin full-time?
Well, you know, it's a situation where, you know, we've been talking to some people, and, you know, we're not exactly sure what's going on right now, but, you know, we're in Tennessee right now.
Okay, Reggie. Thank you very much.
All right.
All right, thank you, Lynn. Reggie and his defensive mates look on. 2nd down and 12 for the NFC now from the 29-yard line. As Warren Moon, a little miscommunication right there in terms of the handoff, and Ricky Waters is stopped there for a gain of just a couple. Reggie White, one of the past Pro Bowl Player of the Game award winners. He won it in February of 1987. Emmett, are you in the Union?
And there's that shot from the camera that's on Emmett's shoulder. Look at that.
Oh, a good zoom. Emmett.
Hold that thing steady there now,
Emmett. Work that iris now. Come on.
You notice he goes right in on Mark Tuinei. Emmett knows exactly where his bread is buttered.
Yep. All right, Emmett, we're going to stay with you on this play. Ladies and gentlemen, Emmitt Smith trying to win a cinematography, whatever it is, Emmy. We're going to do him as a replay instead of live. 3rd down and 9. The catch is made here, and Jerry Rice fighting for that first down and may have come close. All right, now what did it look like through Emmett's lens here? Let's take a peek at Emmett covering this play on isolate. All right, here it is. Roll tape.
The sideline look, the far sideline, because the pass will be completed over there.
Oh,
look at that. Followed the ball beautifully. Center screen. Oh, got him back in focus.
Emmett, keep that Sunday day job, would you?
Keep those officials out of the way, too. Swanee, what's going on down there?
They can hear you, yeah.
Good. I'm glad they can.
Oh, they gave you a replay, a little airtime.
Did it?
Yeah.
Yeah, Emmett, it's a little blurred. You'll
make something happen for me, baby.
He's concentrating here, 1st and 10, and Warren Moon.
Can you follow it?
The catch is made by Chris Carter.
I'm not going to... I done rolled up here in the cameraman.
You know, Emmett, when you're a cameraman on the sideline, when the action comes at you, you have to stand in there just like you have to attack the hole.
Not here. Not this one.
What was that movie, Fortune Cookie? They wiped the cameraman out.
Yeah.
Here he comes. Emmett Smith's camera. Look, this is great.
That's okay. I think you kept him in frame pretty well, Emmett.
Pretty good. Pretty good. Emmett, is Craig Janoff the best director you've ever worked with?
Is Craig Janoff the best director you ever worked with?
Probably so.
Is he the only director?
No, he's not the only.
2nd down and 7.
Hey, Emmett.
Michael's over there looking for a close-up.
Emmett, congratulations on another Super Bowl win and another fabulous year.
Thanks a lot, guys.
You make it fun to cover the game.
Hey, I'm having fun right about now.
Yeah, I bet you are.
We're going to look for you about 3 times next year, Em.
Hey, why are you getting in my face, man?
Well, that's the end of the microphone for him.
Man's working. He's concentrating. 3rd down and 6.
We got to stay with him here.
At the 35-yard line. NFC on top, 20-13. It's almost picked off by Steve Atwater.
Now, Emmett had to have the definitive look at that play. That's coming right at him down here.
And if he didn't, we want our camera back. Next year, Emmett's going to wear a helmet cam.
Emmett, we needed you big there. Did you come through?
Wasting my camera, you know what I mean? Now, if this was Troy in the World Championship.
Now, let's see what he had going here.
Oh, he's locked in on Michael.
Yep.
Oh,
not bad.
Falls from his primary assignment to his secondary. Gets the ball in the picture. Nice. You know, we got a lot of guys back in New York going right now. We don't need this. Our cameramen are going,
no kidding.
Enough praise already.
Beagles boots one out of bounds at the 5-yard line. A beauty. Sending the AFC deep with 10:32 to go in the 4th quarter after a 60-yard kick. NFC up by 7. Thank you, Emmett.
The Mercury Smart Money Sale is at your Lincoln Mercury dealer now. Imagine 4.8% APR financing for 48 months or $600 cash back when you buy or lease any 96 Mercury. Imagine saving more than half off ordinary finance rates with 4.8 financing for 48 months on every 96 Mercury, including the award-winning all-new Mercury Sable. At this rate, stop imagining and see your Lincoln Mercury dealer now during the Mercury Smart Money Sale.
Imagine yourself in a Mercury now.
Last year, nearly 8 million people had their lives turned upside down by unemployment. Hate to say it, but that's life. We're the first company that allows unemployed clients greater access to their annuity without a penalty. And that can help a lot until things get straightened out. That's New York Life, the company you keep.
What would I like? Baked clam. Yes. Veal parmesan. Oh, and garlic bread.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, all the things that give me heartburn. Oh, and it's too late to take my Pepcid AC.
What?
The package says to prevent heartburn, you have to take it an hour before eating.
An hour? You don't have to wait that long.
I don't?
Try my Tagamet HB.
Tagamet?
The label says it takes half the time of your Pepcid.
You're kidding.
No.
I mean, I could take Tagamet HB now, order what I want, and not get heartburn?
Sure, and it lasts for hours.
Waiter.
Tagamet HB, advanced prevention of heartburn in half the time.
Late afternoon in Hawaii, a few minutes before 4 o'clock. Jack Buck, the great veteran broadcaster and one of the men in St. Louis who really defines that city, and Dan Dierdorf living there and in the Hall of Fame balloting process. Jack is the representative of the city of St. Louis. A lot of the cities, both present and former, each have one elector, and Jack very instrumental in championing the Dan Dierdorf movement as Steve Bono takes over at quarterback. Up to the 5-yard line. Each player sort of needs a sponsor from the city in which he was a star, and Jack pretty much served that role for Dan, and Dan over in the CBS radio broadcast booth right now, visiting with Jack Buck and the gang.
Dan goes way back with Jack Buck. I do too. He did the National Football League NFC Championship game back in 1968, the Green Bay-Dallas game, and Jack and I almost, we were fourth landing coming out of there on a charter plane, and Jack and I get together every now and then and say, we're just glad to be here.
Second down and 5 from the 10-yard line. And that goes to Warren, and Chris Warren works his way out to the 20-yard line, and a first down for the AFC with 9:40 to go in the fourth quarter.
And winding up a couple of decades with the National Football League, his final assignment today is a good friend of all of ours. This is Warren Welch, who is the chief of security, has been for the past 16, 17 years for the National Football League, and calling it a career. Of course, plenty more things to do in life. Former FBI man, but just a great friend of so many people around the league. The players themselves, the owners, the management. What a guy.
Bono flips one to Kimball Anders, his Kansas City teammate, who makes the catch and is forced out up at about the 26-yard line. Emmitt Smith assisting him back onto the field.
Good look at it. I think Emmitt's off camera. But a good look see.
Second down and 4 up at the 26-yard line. 20-13, the NFC on top.
Steve Bono coming off a big year for Kansas City. They just can't get by that first playoff game.
And Glenn Milburn working out of the backfield. Milburn named to the team as a special teamer, but with Marshall Faulk hurt, Milburn gets a shot at running back and picks up a first down tackle by Tuggle. Coverage of the AFC-NFC Pro Bowl is being brought to you by Lincoln Mercury and the complete line of 1996 Mercury automobiles. AT&T, your true choice. And Tagamet HB, the most prescribed medication of its kind, is now for heartburn.
AFC trying to get back into it. Keep in mind, we have a 2-point rule. The score is 20-13 inside 9 minutes now.
And Glenn Milburn picks up a couple up to the 38-yard line. They play this game, as you know, Frank, similar to any postseason game, which means not only would you have an overtime with a tie, but you would just, you'd play until next Thursday if you had to.
They love to hear that on the East Coast.
Not that we anticipate it. This is the perfect game where if you were Mark Broda and you scored late in the game, you'd probably go for 2 in the win.
I certainly would think so, and I think we could expect to see that.
And if you were down by 2, you'd probably go for 1.
We can expect that.
Bono throws, and that's picked off by Eric Allen, the longtime Eagle, completing his first season with the New Orleans Saints, gets taken down at the 43-yard line by Ben Coates.
Long-time Eagle, now, of course, with New Orleans, a multiple Pro Bowl player, one of the best cornerbacks ever to play this game. Bono talking to his receiver. He didn't expect that. He got a bad cut.
I got Prime Star because I love news and sitcoms and dramas and sports. I always wanted to play football. Oh. Maybe not. Okay, so I admit I love TV. And with Prime Star's 95 channels, I get it all in digital, picture, and sound. You want to know the best part? You don't have to buy the dish. Prime Star is a service. There's no equipment to buy. And it all starts at about $1 a day. Enjoy.
Call 1-800-PRIME-STAR.
Most of the floats at Mardi Gras are made right here at Blaine Kern Artists. They make things bigger than life. But for office supplies, they make one call to Office Depot. Because nobody takes care of more businesses than Office Depot. And nobody guarantees lower prices. From Bourbon Street to Main Street.
Take care of business with the pros at Office Depot.
when we designed the V8-powered Lincoln Town Car. First, we gave it a spacious interior. Then we made sure it was remarkably smooth and quiet. Because we knew while other luxury cars may flex their muscles and scream for your attention, town car owners prefer the strong, silent type. The Lincoln Town Car, what a luxury car should be.
Hang on for the flight of your life.
Quick! This is the hijacking.
Because you never know who's sitting next to you. In the world premiere, Hijack Flight 285 next.
Back at the Pro Bowl, well, a man who first played in the Pro Bowl in 1951, Hall of Famer Lou Creekmur. Lou, how has the game changed since then?
Oh, Leslie, there's no comparison. I'll tell you, if I could block like these offensive linemen block today, I could have played 30 years.
You were, of course, a household name with the Detroit Lions. What about having Barry Sanders? Anybody like him back then?
There's never been a Barry Sanders. We had Doak Walker and Hunchmeyer and people like that, but no one runs like Barry Sanders runs. Beautiful. Can you imagine him and Thurman Thomas in the same backfield?
How has your position changed? You were an offensive lineman, from you to Dan Deerdorf to, say, Eric Williams.
Well, we used to drive blocks so much more. Nowadays, I don't think anybody does it. You'd have to put your shoulder in there and drive somebody 5 yards back. You don't see that today.
Well, 69 years old, you still look pretty fit to me. Congratulations, Lou.
Thank you,
Leslie.
Al. Glad to be here.
Okay, thank you, Leslie. Well, he just named a few players. They won 3 championships during his run in Detroit. You think of Bobby Lane and that no-face mask coming out, barking at people. Doak Walker flying to the right, Hunchmeyer behind him, and then Boyce Box over on the left side. They were powerful.
Kind of a bold statement by Lou. I could use the same techniques they're playing now. I played for 30 years. Why would you want to play for 30 years, Lou?
Yeah. Jerry Rice makes the catch on 2nd and 17 here.
A lot of offensive linemen look at that, the game that way, because so much of it is a hand fight now by offensive linemen.
Well, it's not that it makes it easy, but no single aspect of the game has changed more than offensive line play over the last 30 or 40 years. I know that there have been rule changes concerning what defensive backs can do, but the techniques in many ways are the same. But nowhere has it changed to the extent it's changed on the offensive line. And not everyone will agree for the better.
3rd down and 6. NFC on top by 7 points. Under 6 minutes to play. Moon for Moore, incomplete. Coverage with Dale Carter in on the play. Great shot.
Another official winding up a long career of service here today, Don Wedge. Troy, Ohio, he's been an official in the National Football League for 24 years and calling it a career, with his final game being the Pro Bowl here in 1996, and we wish him well.
Here's a 52-yard field goal attempt. Morton Anderson, we mentioned it before, a record 8 50-yard field goals this year, 50 or longer, in his first year as a Falcon.
Well, and the wind a little bit at Morton's back, and I guarantee you one thing, guys, as you well know, this will have plenty of distance. This
you better not guarantee
it. It won't be short.
He already holds the Pro Bowl record at 51, and this one hits the upright.
And hits halfway up the upright.
Yeah.
And it was going up.
This guy has got a leg that's really unparalleled.
Just hooked it at the end. 5:37 to go.
Major Deutsch.
The Mercury Smart Money Sale is at your Lincoln Mercury dealer now. Imagine 4.8% APR financing for 48 months or $600 cash back when you buy or lease any 96 Mercury. Imagine saving more than half off ordinary finance rates with 4.8 financing for 48 months on every 96 Mercury, including the award-winning all-new Mercury Sable. At this rate, stop imagining and see your Lincoln Mercury dealer now during the Mercury Smart Money Sale.
Imagine yourself in a Mercury now.
Now there are 4 ways to get the power of Selsun Blue, the #1 doctor-recommended dandruff shampoo. There's medicated, moisturizing, 2-in-1, balanced, 4 powerful Selsun Blue formulas. Now you've got even more Selsun power.
There's a smile in every Hershey bar.
Just make sure you stay in the chariot, Chuck. I guarantee you're going to win the dang race. That's good. True story.
You are so special. That chariot thing you did and the water stuff. I love you, man.
You're not getting my Bud Light. Frankly, son, you frighten me.
For the great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down, make it a Bud Light.
And it's more like, I love you, man. See? Your father's been killed.
What? Forget the usual suspects.
Diane.
Because this time, you won't believe who did it. An all-new Blue Tuesday.
For the players recorded this week, the E. Halani Resort. Kevin Green, poolside earlier in the week. And some others.
Don't be mad at me. Because I know they mad at me. Don't be mad at me, though. Don't worry. I'll be back there cold like you, playing for you guys, you know, hands freezing, can't feel the ball. But we're going to be winning. That's a promise.
Aloha and mahalo from Ricky is Jim Harbaugh.
Who is he talking to?
I don't know. Ben Coates to the 38-yard line. I think it's a message to the good folks in eastern Pennsylvania. 20-yard pickup. Lynn Swan. What you got, Swanee?
Oh, I got Steve Young and Jerry Rice. And Jerry, Steve, we know what great competitors you are. One of the big stories happening, obviously, is Bill Walsh is coming back to the San Francisco 49ers. What do you think he brings to this ball club that would have changed from this year?
Knowledge. You know, Bill been around for a long, long time. You know, he created this offense, so he knows the offense in and out. And it's just going to be great having him back with the organization, just seeing him walk around the locker room.
Now, Steve, there's got to be an order of chain of command. You're the field general. You have an offensive coordinator. Bill Walsh is somewhere in there. Then you got George Seifert. How is all of that going to work?
Well, I'm not that worried about it because Bill has been around kind of anonymously for the last few years. He worked with Mark last year. He worked with Mike Shanahan in the years past. I've been in his office a number of times. So what they've done now just made it official. And I think that it'll flow very well. I mean, Mark will still call the plays, I'm sure, but Bill will have his influence and should have his influence. He's the one that originated it.
And all the stories have been written. We've talked about Walsh. They've talked about Seifert and your offensive coordinator. But no one talks about the kind of input you two have into that offense.
We're done with that. Yeah. You know, we're not going to call any plays next year. We're just going to go out there and have a good time and, you know, just make plays.
That's right. We're going to try to make as many plays. There's not enough plays to be made next year. We want to make them all.
Now, I know most receivers do this, but tell me the truth. Does Jerry come in the huddle like everybody else and always say, I'm open?
He's never been covered.
I'm always open. I'm always open.
But the problem is Brent Jones says the same thing.
We don't have that many balls to go around.
All right, now, you got hurt, but you're okay. You would have gone in except for what?
It was Warren's turn.
And that's the only reason?
Yeah. And it's in Hawaii. You know, I'm done. I got my quarter and a half. I'm tired.
I think you saved George C. for the phone call.
Yeah.
Al?
All right, thank you, Lynn. Pair of gems right there. And talking about the current Hall of Famers, I think Swanee just had a couple of future ones in tow as well. And there's another guy who someday will be right there, Barry Sanders. A reminder coming up next, Hijack Flight 285, the ABC Sunday night movie. Wonder what they served on that flight. Did you see that graph the other day in USA Today? There's one major airline that spends $4 per person on food.
No.
You talk about the bean counters running wild.
How did they come up with that figure, though?
I don't know.
Better yet, how'd you come up with it?
I ain't going to be on that airline, I'm telling you.
I can assure you won't. Man, I'm glad I had a busier week than you did.
So good to see you on a health kick, though.
I had more going on than to get upset over that.
Oh, I'm just passing along all this vital information.
I understand. Oh, keeper of the traveling plane. Yes. We haven't got in. Where are you in the flat tax?
America's ombudsman. Oh, you know where I am on the flat tax. And I know where you guys are, too. And that's where Michael Volino would have been as well.
We have had a major stoppage in play down here as the official.
By the way, Hijack Flight 285, the ABC Sunday movie, after the game, East Coast and Central Time Zone, 9 o'clock Pacific Time. And it's what, 8 o'clock Mountain Time? We're always leaving the Mountain Time.
I wonder
zone.
If we had another illegal formation or something like that here. May see some major wrist slapping here. The entire AFC may have to take a lap. There's Jack Reeder in the middle. Jack Reeder on the right, Wayne Sevier, the two observers that are here today.
That has to be what it is, and it's being laid out to Teddy Marchibrodo, so obviously it's going to work against the AFC.
Up the PA here in the stadium. The crowd is doing the wave. We may not be able to hear Tom White.
I can't wait for this announcement.
We have a neutral zone infraction. On the defense, it's a 5-yard penalty. There is no play because the ball is dead by rule. Second down.
Okay. It would have to have been contact, wouldn't it, Dan? To stop the play?
Yes, it would have, for there to be no play, absolutely.
Second down and 5. The AFC has the ball at the 33-yard line. 4:46 left, fourth quarter. What in the world is going on? NFC up by 7. Tom, make it happen, babe.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Who's doing a testing out there? Sounds like the PA announcer for the stadium.
This is like a surreal scene. The game's kind of rolling along. Now we have the stoppage. You've got the PA guy testing the mics. The crowd is stamping its feet.
And for some reason, Tom White not allowing play to commence. Very defensive posture with his arms folded across his chest like that. How about sometime this century here? All right.
Whatever. Second and 6 at the 33-yard line. We think. Harbaugh buried at the 37-yard line. William Fuller at 13 sacks this season for the Philadelphia Eagles, stopping them back in the line of scrimmage.
If one guy represented what the Eagles did this year under new coach Ray Rhodes, it would have to be William Fuller. And this guy has just taken his game up a notch. Not that he was ever just an average player. He's always been very good. But talk about it. He's not a Bruce Smith. He's not a Neil Smith. He's not a Reggie White. William Fuller did nothing but just get it done week after week after week.
Back in double figures, the sacks 13 this year.
And here he is again.
Third down and 9. Puts the pressure on, and the pass is incomplete at the 25-yard line. Fuller with a sack on the prior play. That was his second of the afternoon. It's now fourth down.
Yeah, they've really put on a defensive show, the Eagles, this year. For most of the season, on the other side, William Thomas, their linebacker, having a great year with 7 interceptions. And he, of course, here in the Pro Bowl. And there he is. Not big, 6'2", at about 218. And what a tremendous year he had. King of the turnovers.
Ray Rhodes was the coach of the year. Mike Holmgren and Ray worked together on the San Francisco staff. And Sherman Lewis is now Mike's offensive coordinator at Green Bay. And Mike was saying yesterday, he said Sherman Lewis is the greatest untold story among assistant coaches today. He should be a head coach someday. And in fact, he was interviewed by Bill Bidwell earlier this week for the Cardinal job. And the flag is thrown. On 4th and 9. Eric Davis made contact with Carl Pickens.
Oh, and he did too. He had the right arm wrapped around Pickens.
That'll keep a drive alive, especially a drive that is a potential game-tying or game-winning drive. The AFC down by 7.
Eric all upset over this. It did appear, though, the right arm wrapped around. It helped him come around to make the deflection. I don't know whether this shot will give it to us or not. If he cannot make that contact, I don't know. That's pretty close.
Well, from that angle, it looks like Eric Davis has every reason to be upset. That didn't give us any look at anything that even resembled interference.
1st and 10 from the 22. Ben Coates, the New England tight end, takes it inside the 15. It'll be 2nd and short.
Well, what will Ted Marchibroda do if they get down here, score a touchdown that brings them within 1? Do you have any idea, Al?
I asked him before the game, unhesitatingly, as you look at Fred Shermer, he said, you go for the win. Now, I asked him, I said, in the last minute. This is a little different here. 3.5 to go. Second and 2. An admirable attitude. Yes, sir. Harbaugh throws, and that's a 1st down. The catch is made by Coates, and he gets gang tackled at the 7-yard line, but it will be 1st and goal. Oh, and Tim McDonald got a shot in.
Tim McDonald's pushing Steve Wisniewski's head down into the turf. He's not happy with the excitable Raider guard.
I don't know if we've talked about it yet or not. There's $10,000 difference between the winner and the loser here. 20,000 to the winner, 10 to the loser. And you know, you get down the last couple of minutes, that's not chump money. It might start to factor in around here.
Well, Steve Wisniewski has a little Conrad Dobler in him. There's always a little mayhem swirling in his immediate vicinity.
1st and goal from the 8. Pressure from the backside, but Harbaugh feels it, looking, and then falls down, throws the ball out of bounds.
Never did a play that looked so good for so long end up looking so bad. It looked immediately like he could run into the end zone, and then he's setting up almost a sure touchdown. Somebody's going to come loose.
I think he just got caught up on the surface. He was going to throw it about 3 different times, and then he finally had second thoughts, and about that time he got hung up with the artificial surface, and down he went. You look at it again. He wants to throw it there. Whoop, right there. No, he's covered. No. Yep, he just got hung up.
2nd and goal. Harbaugh. And that's thrown out of the end zone, an incomplete 3rd and goal, and that takes us inside the 2-minute warning. $1:58 to play. AFC threatening, but they still trail by 7.
Announcing a powerful breakthrough of incredible proportions. Incredibly small proportions. New Actron, a powerful pain reliever with ketoprofen, finally available without a prescription. Actron is so powerful, just 12.5 milligrams are as effective as 200 milligrams of Advil or 650 milligrams of Tylenol for headaches and body pain. New Actron, the pain reliever that's so small because it's so powerful.
6 million calls an hour. 1 billion calls a week. Because these calls mean so much to you, AT&T treats every one of them as a promise. And to keep all those promises, we've built the most powerful long-distance network in the world. We know that at any time, on any day, any one of those calls could be yours. Promises made, promises kept. That's your true choice, AT&T.
In a matter of milliseconds, faster than the blink of an eye. Lincoln Continental's road-calibrated suspension automatically adjusts, giving you better control in ever-changing road conditions. Milliseconds. When it comes to choosing a luxury car, that's all the time you'll need. Lincoln Continental with the V8 in-tech system. What a luxury car should be.
Third and goal with 1:58 left in regulation. AFC on top 20-13. There's your lineup tomorrow right here on ABC. Second Noah, then Wow, the most awesome acts on earth, and Murder One, filling the time slot that Monday Night Football normally occupies. And of course our 27th season of Monday Night Football coming your way next September. schedule to be announced. 3rd and goal now from the 8-yard line. Harbaugh. Throwing, tipped and picked off in the end zone by Tim McDonald. And that should seal it. Harbaugh now with 3 interceptions today.
Could have been a $10,000 one.
Yeah.
Big swing there.
So that takes that 17-5 up to 17-8. Harbaugh came in here with a magnificent touchdown interception ratio. Of course, these don't count towards any official stats, but very uncharacteristic for Harbaugh to have that many interceptions in a game.
AFC a total of 4 picks today. Bono had the other one. So 1st and 10, NFC at the 20-yard line.
Good coverage. Harbaugh felt he had to throw into the traffic.
Yeah, tried to jam it into Ben Coates, who was well covered.
He's got a finger on it.
Almost everybody in a blue jersey.
Each team 2 timeouts at their disposal. Moon. We've got some time here as Barry Sanders picks up a couple, or actually loses a couple, and timeout is called by the AFC. So Mike Holmgren's team on its way to a victory in all likelihood. You know, this is one place where you don't mind a Gatorade shower at the end of the game if you're the head coach. Kind of or maybe a pina colada shower at the end of the game would be more appropriate.
I don't know that Mike would appreciate it. I think he'll take it. I don't think he'll start beating anybody up. Of course, one of the beautiful parts of it is there's very few insects here in Hawaii. So even if he's covered with Gatorade, they won't descend upon him right away. That's true. And hopefully he'll shower before he gets back to the mainland. You know, the sweetness, Frank, it kind of draws bugs.
Brett Favre.
You're reaching, aren't you?
At this point,
I don't even know where I am.
For all the right reasons, too, Dan.
Yes, sir.
Well, Jerry Rice has been named the winner of the MVP award, named in honor of Dan McGuire, a longtime sports writer here in the Honolulu area. And Rice caught 6 passes today for 82 yards and a touchdown. Jerry Rice, the Pro Bowl MVP.
Gets him up to 36 now, I think it is, for his Pro Bowl career.
Barry Sanders takes it up to the 23-yard line.
I'm not just saying this to make a point. You guys know this is true because he says so. If Jerry Rice had his way, training camp would start next week. This is a guy that would go right back to it. It's what he lives for. He knows his place in history, and Jerry Rice's goal is to take his receiving records to a place where it'll be a long time before someone can challenge him.
Look at the way this game's going. You can understand why he is staying on also. We talked earlier about how the passing game with the new offenses has increased so much over the past few years, so dramatically. And Jerry Rice has been a contributor to that. But it's really the offense itself that began really with Bill Walsh and spread throughout the National Football League, the old West Coast offense, whatever you want to call it. It's almost cliche, but that little short, high percentage pass has changed the nature of pro football.
Well, our crew wrapping it up, and Kenny Wolf and Craig Janoff ending their 10th and 8th seasons respectively on this package. The scintillating work. Steve Hurt, of course, our brains in terms of research and information. Andrea Bryan's been up in the booth. George Hill, the stats, and Kaka'ako Kelly Hayes handling the spotting, ending a decade with this illustrious crew.
Don't forget Victor and Brian down there. They'll never talk to you again.
Absolutely.
Victor Vitarelli and Brian Gordon.
My luggage will be in Hong Kong.
That's right.
It already is.
Love Brian.
He went on that airline that spends $4 a person for food.
No airline will satisfy your new diet, I can assure you.
That's true.
When I saw you going for the aka in rice yesterday, I thought it was an imposter.
Number 77 offense.
Frank, but aka is the key to life.
The new Al Michaels. You will live forever on that diet.
Right. Me and Oprah.
Please, I'm about ready to take a headfirst dive out of this booth.
That'd make a good talk show combo.
Yes, it would.
Just stay off at 9 o'clock, okay?
That's right. Yeah, what the heck? If we've got Ginny J and Tammy Faye, we can have Al and Oprah. Why
You got it. You got it. AFC is out of timeouts. The NFC will take a little bit more time off the clock. And that is Brian Mitchell, who is stopped by Dan Saliamula. So the AFC will get the ball back, and by the time they get it back, it'll be under a minute to play in the fourth quarter. Still, with the caliber players that we have on this field, you could get the big play. That's Ed Marchibroda wrapping up the season, and he'll see if he can guide his team to a victory here in the final minute of play. Emmett Smith done for the day. And the offseason begins, and this will be a most interesting offseason in the National Football League, both in terms of player personnel movement, legal affairs, and all of the rest. And timeout is called by the NFC. I think they took it down to the final second, and now they want to have a little conference. But it would be very difficult under the rules that are used in this game to block a punt, although we've seen a couple come close today. Yep. So there's not a whole lot of gaming allowed.
If it is a successful punt by the NFC, and we will see Jim Harbaugh, I would assume, finish the Pro Bowl the same way he finished his team's postseason play, and that's with a Hail Mary into the end zone.
Jeff Eagles will punt. Line of scrimmage is the NFC 17-yard line. Glenn Milburn is back to receive the boot. Six-man rush. And the kick comes to the near side and goes out of bounds near midfield. And the AFC will have about 50 yards to go. They're still marching it off, and in fact they'll put it at the 50-yard line right there.
And they've got a lot more time than
a pretty sad
just
effort
to run a Hail Mary or two. They've got time to work it down the field.
Well, the NFC clearly has dominated the Super Bowl in recent years. They've won the last 12, and over that span, though, the AFC has held its own in the Pro Bowl. The AFC has won 6 of the last 11, and the NFC leads the overall series since the merger between the two leagues, 14 wins to 11. So at the 50-yard line, it's Harbaugh trying to guide him into the end zone, and I would suspect if they get there, you look at a 2-point attempt to win the game. Harbaugh, he's got Ben Coates open, and Coates makes the catch. And had the pass been thrown a little further, Coates would have gone all the way, but it enabled Davis to close on it and make the tackle. Again, the NFC talking it over. They were caught in some kind of funny defense.
Well, they're supposed to be man-to-man with the receivers. Somebody dropped the ball.
Well, this is pretty interesting here. It's only an exhibition game, and what does it really matter? And nobody really cares who wins or loses among the fans, really. It's a showcase game, but all of a sudden, 21 seconds to determine $10,000 a guy. Everybody would focus right now on the field. We're talking well over $250,000 switch here. And we go per player.
Of course, chump change, according to Michael the policeman. I had to kick one for $1 million.
Second down 10, 20 seconds left, no timeouts for the AFC from the 14-yard line. Harbaugh floats one out of the back of the end zone. Ben Coates was there, and covering on the play, going all the way back with him, was Lee Woodall of the 49ers.
And now at 15 seconds, now you've got to worry that if you complete a ball short of the goal line, assuming that play itself will eat up 6 or 7 or 8 seconds, you're not going to get down there and kill the clock before time expires. So this has to be a play either at the sidelines or into the end zone. No choice.
Yep. Movie coming up, except on the West Coast, where you'll see it at 9 o'clock. Hijack Flight 285, the Sunday night movie right after the game. 3rd down and 10. Harbaugh under pressure, just throws it up as a prayer, and it will be 4th down. So the game will come down to a 4th down play. William Fuller provided the rush, and it comes down to one play to see if the AFC can put themselves in the position to win it with a conversion.
If you joined us late, yes, you're right. That is intentional grounding in any other game other than this one. There is no intentional grounding in this game. A classic look at it right there. He was in the pocket. He threw it away to avoid a sack, but not today.
Again, another effort to protect a very valuable commodity, the quarterback.
One play.
And a good rule in this game.
Brown and Miller are split to the left. Coach, the tight end, coming off the right side. Harbaugh throws that one halfway to Diamond Head. Nobody had a chance. Tim Brown closest to it, but a couple of feet above his head, and Merton Hanks says, all right. 20 G's a man.
This game's not over yet, guys. There's still 2 seconds left. This game just won't end. Ted Marchibroda is trying to make it in. I think he's leaving.
Last time we saw a coach leave before the end of the game,
he left for good.
He left for good. Buddy Ryan on Christmas night.
Well, we've got to go back and get everybody set up for the last 2 seconds.
Leslie Visser, a final word?
Here, come off the field.
Les?
Coach, the game's not over yet. 2 seconds left, but what did you want on that last drive?
Well, we certainly wanted a touchdown. You know, Jimmy's done a great job for us all year and almost brought us back twice, but we couldn't quite get it in on 4th down.
Had you scored, would you have gone for 2?
No, I'd have gone for 1, Leslie. I thought about going 2, but I don't think it would have been fair to our ball players to go for 2. There's a $10,000 involved in this game.
You had a tremendous year. Thanks, Ted.
Thank you, Leslie. Thank you.
So that's the end of the game, which comes right down to the end. The NFC winning it by a score of 20-13. We'll reconvene when Dan Dierdorf and the class of '96 go into the Hall of Fame in Canton in July.